get absolute chaos. So we're loading into the race right now. I'm really looking forward. I've not seen a weather update yet. I imagine we'll probably not start with the kind of wet. So, have you got something, Alex?
I know the answer to that. It's dry to start, but I heard there's a little tink of weather maybe in the middle of the race. Maybe it'll dry up before the end. Who knows? Who knows what will happen?
Like, they're my favorite races. See, like dry, wet, dry. Like you just get kind of a bit of everything. So hopefully we'll see something like that. Will we see some safety cars and red flags as well in a lobby with these 20 people? I imagine we're definitely going to see some of that. But yeah, I am looking at people like Scotty Designs tonight because I was quite surprised by that. Like, good on them. That's what I love to see. Unfortunate for some of our guys that were at the top of the grid in the sprint. I finished getting a little bit lower than I thought. We had like Chappers, who I've actually been really enjoying recently. I feel like he has pace. Hopefully he just had a couple of mistakes and stuff and he's kind of ready for it as well. We've seen quite a lot of driving now over Silverstone, Alex. Who do you think's got it? Who do you think's got us today?
I mean, I'd love to see the Ferraris pick up a win for Lorino, but I mean, again, you can never count out Alex Gillen, can you, down in 5th place. But the rain could spice things up, and we're going to just have to see what happens.
I love it. Let's do it. Well, guys, enjoy your race. Let us know in all of the chats who you think's going to win today. And for one last time, don't remember, hit follow, hit share, let the world know what we're doing here. Commentators, TK and Tom Wilkinson, please take it away. Have a wonderful race.
Well, as the old proverb says, the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain, which unfortunately means nothing here in the UK, where it rains just about wherever it wants to, pretty much every day of the week for 2026. But for Season 12, thankfully, no rain to start off this race, although, as we were being told, there's a little whisper in my ear happening that we're going to see rain in about 10 minutes. Light rain, of course. We haven't got any heavy rain. No full wet tyres required by the FIA. Thankfully, no red flags as well, as that is the Alpine, I'm going to assume, of Alex Gillen or Meraki. Wandering off into the distance, they made their way through Copse Corner. Lonnie Nobre is still yet to eat his Terry's chocolate orange, and the producer's wife is not happy about it. Lonnie Nobre, if you are watching this stream, if any Lolly fans are in chat, please tell him to eat that chocolate orange. He knows what to do.
100%. Make sure we get on that. If he wins the race, surely that's the deal, right? He has to win. He has to eat the chocolate orange. So I think we can all agree in that. And you can see the sky as well. Definitely overcast conditions. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some rain early on, which makes the tyre strategy interesting. Only 5 favouring the soft tyres. Traditionally, they would overheat quite a lot. But with the cooler track conditions in particular, with rain on the horizon, could that be a smart strategic call from Razin Chai and Alex Gillen in particular? And if we just press rewind very quickly and head back to qualifying, let's not forget the top 6 were separated by less than 0.2 of a second.
What I'm absolutely very close qualifying. What I'm mainly curious about is why Lonnie Nobre hasn't tried it. Terry's chocolate oranges are fantastic, and I'm sure in classic BBC style there are other brands of chocolate orange available. Watching on board with Mango making his way through the final corner through Club, and he's decided to give us a vertical camera. Mango, please CC our emails for the end of this race as to what a horizontal camera is, but it doesn't matter, Tom, because why don't you take us away for this race?
I will do just that. Scotty, the only one falling foul of the parking regulations. But as we wait for the lights to appear, it's a battle between Silver and Scarlet on the run into turn 1. Racing for the second time this season for 52 laps of Silverstone. Great start for Cream from P3, already putting Dak Gavitz under pressure. Gillen, great start on the soft tyres as well. Cream bulked behind the Mercedes, and he's going to be under the microscope. Definitely on the braking down into turn 2, but Lolland over the Italian Stallion, still with it covered, but everybody misses their braking zone. Vince Bader, due off the circuit, hands over 4 places straight to the championship contenders as Razin and Alex getting stuck into each other for 3rd and 4th.
Little bit of carbon fibre flying off as they made their way through Abbey in towards Farm Curve. But look at this, Alex Gillen on the inside run, in towards Brooklands, in towards Luffield. He'll have the inside line. And I was going to say the outside line would have to tend itself, but Razin Chai unable to try and fight round the outside line that opened itself up through Brooklands corner. Now Timo Mardik right on the back of Razin Chai. Down the old pit straight they will go. And Lonnie Nobre's got one challenge ahead of him, and that is run.
Try and get away as best as he possibly can, but his partner from the front row has had a stinker. Ben also off the road, the back of that Red Bull car looking very shaky indeed, and suddenly Gridjoke's nipping at his heels, potentially thinking about it, but not quite getting the overlap to still 5th place away from the former 2-time champ. Vince once again losing places and making a mistake on the opening lap. I think that's 4 out of 5 races now this season that he's just not got it quite right as he falls down to 7th.
Absolutely on board with Safso as he's trying to challenge that guy Vince in towards Stowe Corner, the long right-hander which can tend itself to a great overtaking opportunity in towards Vale Corner and through Club as well to take you on towards the start-finish straight. Brandon Miles and Tukey having a good scrap further back as Tukey's up now for what was 4, now make that 5 positions off race start as Lolly Nova sets the fastest lap and Karim 17 well and truly on his heels.
Hearing that Mango's the driver that has a little bit of front wing damage. Adam Sanderson on the move down the inside into turn 1, battling away with Concept 7. Very tight indeed. Fabio for company as well. Diving down the inside goes Ricky 03, his worst qualifying of the season. Trying to make up for lost time from 13th, now 11th, but he couldn't display Scotty Designs outside of the top 10.
Certainly is indeed. Scotty Designs just trying to hold off Ricky 03 as well in the run down towards Brooklands. Can our Scotsman try and hold off the Italian that stands behind him? Some great defending, but he goes deep in towards Brooklands. That opens up Luffield, surely, for Ricky 03 to try and challenge through Woodcote as well. And on towards the old back straight. There's a bit of a stopper in the clock at the moment. And that's for Scotty Designs, 1.3 seconds off the back of Meraki at the moment. But the Italian can't quite seem to dispatch him.
On all the wrong parts of the track, but somehow playing his joker there because he holds on to 10th for the time being. Look at the train forming. Choo-choo with Lolly. Head of Kareem, Gillen, Razan and Ben. Gridjoke's not too far away, just in the back of shot as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 4 at the back opening the DRS flaps. Will Kareem 17 be close enough to challenge down into Stowe Corner? Not quite yet. Doesn't have the overspeed to challenge that Scarlet Ferrari.
Meraki's right on the rear of Safso though, just a 10 for separating them very close. And Gillen now sends a dive down the inside, trying to hold that position. Wants the podium from Razin Chai. Razin hunts the inside line. Through Club Corner they go, and Razin just holds on by the barest of margins. The soft tyres are fired up. He'll set the fastest lap of the race. But of course, we are still expecting that rain to come imminently.
Kareem still all over the back of Lolly. Did he think about the dive bomb to the inside? Remember, back to Hungary for about 15 laps. These guys were knocking 10 bells out of each other. Gillen all over the show and Ben down the inside. This could get spicy with the return of Curl just a few days ago. Ben displaces his sparring partner. Couple of untidy mistakes there for Alex Gillen as the lead potentially changing hands. The gap presents itself to the outside for Kareem 17, but once again, as we've seen a number of times this season, Lolanova staunch in his defence, but Gillen with a wobble through Stowe on the previous lap opened the door for Razin, and then Ben, when he smells blood, he goes 100% at it.
He absolutely does. He's one of those drivers that the moment you give him an ounce of unconfidence, the ounce of that an overtake could happen, Ben is that driver to pounce on it. You can start to see that rain falling down the camera lens when we rode on board with Alex Gillen. Is that a suggestion here, Tom, that we're starting to see those little snippets of rain, not necessarily enough for intermediates yet, and probably won't be for another 5 or so minutes, but an inclination that it is raining?
They'll be thinking about it now, 100%. And it didn't look like a very small drop either. That was a big splodge on the camera lens there. And we saw another one just falling down as we went down the hanger straight. On board with Gillen. This time it's Ben's turn to go wide through Stowe. Maybe Alex can try and retake that 4th place back into the Vale chicane, but wasn't quite close enough to challenge. It looks like the conditions, with the temperature being low as well, track conditions deteriorating very quickly. Kareem, what a catch that is through the final corner.
Mastery at work for Karim there, just holding the car in a straight line. It was so easy just to drop it. We are seeing Yorit already into pit road, so opting to get off a set of the medium tyres, which is a very bold decision so early on in this race, after only 3 laps, but maybe he decides that the rain is going to come in this heavy.
100%. Ben struggling for grip as well on the medium tyres. This should be favouring Razin and Alex Gillen at this stage, with the soft tyres firing up slightly better. Front wing change for Yorit as well, along with the green stripe intermediate tyre, so he will be the guinea pig for everybody to see what sector times the Haas can punch in.
This will be the, well, as you said, the guinea pig for everybody else. They will be watching his lap times like a hawk just to see how he's progressing on a set of the intermediate tyres. I don't think it's quite ready for that switch over yet. Probably a couple of more minutes if the rain continues at its current rate of descent in towards Copse Corner. They'll go very, very wide for Razin Chai and Alex Tima Marduk. Both of their cars opting to not grip onto the surface, not bite into the bitumen as much as they would have liked, and they are going to have to suffer the consequences because Gillen made that corner perfectly.
Yeah, Ben all over the place here, back of the car, looking very, very dangerous. There, he's dropped it coming out of Chapel, tapped the barrier, still got all 4 wheels on his wagon, but that is a big, big blunder for one of the perennial contenders to this championship throne, Tierman Marduk. 1.5 seconds now off the back of Korean, the rain coming down heavily. Surely we're going to see drivers making their way into the pits, and yes, we do.
A whole parade of cars in towards pit road. I think Tukey also dropped it as he exited out of Chapel Corner. You can see that McLaren car just stationary But the question is now, how much time is Yorick going to gain? Of course, he changed his front wing to take that with a bit of a pinch of salt. Chappers speeding into pit road as well. That is a 10-second penalty coming the Williams way. Is anybody going to double stack? I think the V-Cubs might have to here, as Mango also gets a 10-second penalty for speeding the pit lane. Last time around, he didn't know what a brake bias was. Maybe he needs to learn what his pit limiter is.
Look at that sucker punch, though, for Razin. Needs a wing change, and he has to queue behind his teammate as well. Kareem 17, though, look at that. He's got the jump on Lon over in the pit lane. Tim Malik still ahead of Alex Gillen. Gridjoke's up to P5, but that has changed the complexion dramatically. Kareem, he couldn't get past Lolly on the road in Hungary. This time he decides, let's do it in the pit lane.
Absolutely. Keep an eye on Yorick. He's heading through the final corner, through Vale and through Club as well. So he'll probably jump a couple of the cars here, even with that wing change and riding through the final corner. He'll have the run down towards turn 1 and down towards the loop as well. So keep an eye and see if he's managed to jump it on. Razin stays ahead, so he hasn't had the best of outlaps so far, has our Yorick, but he will jump at least one position. Beats Chappers as well. Adam Sanderson gets the better of Scotty. Designs as Ricky as well, having a good battle with him. And that's Scotty off the road as they head at the exit of Aintree down towards Brooklands and Luffield. Just getting it all kinds of wrong in the treacherous conditions.
Very lucky not to Kimi Räikkönen it from 2014. That's Razin trying to make up for lost time, darting to the inside. Tuki's going to be scared off the road into a mistake, and that's a freebie for the Season 5 champion. I think he just taps the back of Mango in front. Concept all over the place, wide through Luffield. Surely that isn't more damage for Razin Chai. Looking for the front wing. I think he may have got away scot-free.
By the barest of margins, I think that time he would have been kicking himself if something happened further back. Concepts in the wall. Oh my goodness, that's all sorts of wrong. And that's a safety car coming out, but he just seemed to get on the power far too early as he came through Woodcut Corner and into the barrier. He well and truly goes.
I'll be fascinated to see the clip of that one, because that was an interesting place to lose if that's what did happen. Looked like almost a steering fail, like a Fernando Alonso 2015 testing when the steering just locked and he just threw himself straight into the barrier on the right-hand side. That neutralises things. Mango with a 10-second, Chappers with a 10-second as well. Yorick was very, very lucky as he was trying to dodge bits of carbon fibre and wheels that were being thrown at 150 mile an hour.
I have got no words to describe what quite happened there, but this is going to benefit Yorick quite immensely, just allow him to catch back up with the rest of the pack and progress through as well. But Kareem 17 will lead after the 6 laps of this 52-lap Grand Prix. I'm being told the rain is here to stay for at least a little bit too long as they progress through in towards Farm and through Village as well and up towards the Wellington Straight. The safety car will catch them at the beginning of said Wellington Straight. Who's into the pits then? Let's have a look. Mango, Tuki and Chappers F1. All three of those opting, I'm going to assume, for front wing changes all round.
100%. And 10-second penalties to get rid of for the Haas and the Williams. Also, Tuki must have had a little bit of damage in there. We saw him going wide, almost spooked off the circuit going through Brooklands as Razin was sticking his nose down the inside of the McLaren. But it gives Kareem 17 an opportunity to try and consolidate the lead of the race. Yes, he'll have to reopen that gap that he did get to about a second ahead of Lon Ober as Ben and Alex trading places under the safety car. You can imagine what the conversation is going to be like there between the pair of them. Really good work from Gridjokes as well. Got himself into the top 5. Jake didn't have the best of starts, dropping a couple of places. Stabilised in P8 ahead of Fabio and Adam Sanderson, who has had a good start. Scotty Designs has been a little bit all over the place, hasn't he, since the rain started to fall?
You're absolutely right. I wonder if that was... we just had a notification of DRS been seven. There's a whole gaggle of things going on here, and this surely has led from Timo Vardik and Alex Gillen going blow to blow as well as they continue on. I did have a word in my head. I didn't quite hear what the producer was saying. If he wants to speak up a little bit, that would be very much appreciated. It's nothing useful, is what he's basically just told me in my ear. And we continue through under the safety car as well, but we will have that clip from Alex in the next few moments just to try and analyse and figure out what exactly went wrong with the 7th concept. Maybe it's time for the 8th here, Tom.
Maybe the 9th. It was that much of a blunder and that much for failure. We might need to skip a concept and level up to the tune of 2.
Well, who knows? Concept 9 we might see in the next few moments. I am being told that Alex is ready, though. If we're ready, let's, 1 second, and then we'll throw over to him in the briefest of times. Just hold fire, everybody, as we can be patient. But let's talk about the race as it stands so far. Who's impressed you, Tom?
Difficult to say. Kareem didn't have a particularly good opening lap. He got off the grid nicely, but then found himself under pressure. But since then, I think he's done a good job. I think Gillen surprised me with the mistake he made. It's a very easy one to do, just breaking a little bit too late into Snow Corner. It was a little bit wet as well, so that can just mitigate the problem ever so slightly, but handing a couple of places on a plate to Ben and to Razin. He doesn't really want to be battering Ben too much. We know the history that they've got over the years.
I'm just watching Gillen here send his nose down the inside of Ben, and there's a little bit of competitive spirit between the two of them, but we're ready to find out exactly what happened to Concept 7. Alex, what do you got for us?
Well, it was certainly a strange one coming down the old pit straight, but we can run on board here. You can see probably the first major issue here is those are not intermediate tyres he's running. He's still running the medium tyres. And he lets a few cars pass here, and he's sort of getting through the list of cars. And then he sort of just like starts moving over to the right-hand side and then just puts it in the wall. I'm guessing maybe he crashed on purpose because he didn't know what he was doing. But it seems like a very strange thing indeed, incident-wise. And the only other clip I have for us is not myself. That's not a good clip to watch. This is the Raz and Shine incident, which I think you caught on stream. And he's just coming through here. It's just getting a bit too damp for dry tyres now. And he just has a little bit of a spin and crashes it, unfortunately, on the left-hand side. So yeah, that was the two clips I have for you. But very strange one from Concept 7.
I think what's quite funny there is if you watch Razin's face, he's very, very calm. And the moment the car goes to step out, you just see this serious expression just take over him. He's like, oh no, he knows exactly what's about to happen. He's very thankful that I don't think he managed to crash out of the race. And questioning here, Tom, obviously everyone else was on intermediate tyres. Why was Concept on mediums?
I don't know, and I can't answer that because I don't think he was tucked up behind his teammate and thought, I know what's going to happen, I'm going to stay out and I can try and steal 25 seconds over people. If you remember back to, say, the 2024 British Grand Prix, Oscar Piastri tried that and he lost about 25 seconds and cost McLaren a win in that race. So I don't know necessarily what the strategy was there. Also, why he threw in the towel is what I'm imagining that was with the hit into the barrier there. Just want to go back to Razin as well because I'm actually surprised he didn't save that. He reacted to the slide and the oversteer quite late. It was quite a delayed reaction. He kept the wheel straight for quite a while. So maybe that was a little bit more salvageable than it looked.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It was one of these interesting issues where I think he was always too confident, not confident in the car, too relaxed in the car. And he was trying to drive through a series of corners that he knows so well. Of course, he's British. He knows how the car handles, and he got just too confident. We're about to see Alex Gibson another move down the inside of Team Marduk. But I think that's it. He got complacent in the car and didn't necessarily how he goes. Being told Ricky 3 now has a haircut to match his ankle tag, and I don't need to know any more information about that because I don't have a clue what Garrett's referring to.
I mean, I imagine his trim might be an interesting little one. We know that Ricky's famous for that haircut that he usually has, so that he might have gone for a brand new style. Who knows? I don't know if he's in the picture-in-picture cameras, but somebody might have to do some research. That's the kind of content we want in Clip Book Corner, everybody.
It is. Alex, if he's not on clip on the pit cameras, we might have to send you a lucky... Oh, that is absolutely
Ricky, you can't
stunning.
hide it now.
Everyone here, go to Ricky's chat and ask him to take his hat off for us, please and thank you. And remember your please and thank yous, we're British, most of us in the comments box are British anyway. So please and thank yous are appreciated. I've got so many questions though.
I am also surprised he hasn't been driven. He hasn't driven so far like he's playing Angry Birds. No contact so far, but we'll just hold that thought. If he does cause a cataclysmic pilot, then we'll know where he's taken it from.
I love that everyone in chat from Concept Community is not realising that if he wants to throw it into a barrier and cause a safety car, he absolutely can. And speaking of safety cars, we're going to go racing everybody at the start of lap 9.
Yeah, indeed. It'll be Kareem backing everybody up. I'm surprised Ricky hasn't got too hot there with the interesting balaclava and helmet strategy that he's running. But we'll see when Kareem chooses to plant the loud pedal down and try and steal a march on his rivals behind. Alex Gillen, you'll be thinking as well, we'll want to try and put some manners on Tim at Marduk after Ben, if you missed the first episode of COP, managed to win that opening race.
Certainly did. Spoilers. Apologies, everybody that hasn't managed to watch that yet. But Lottie Nova will be on the charge for Karim 17. I think he'll try and launch this as late as he possibly can. Being told the rain is due to stop before race end, but it won't be too far from race end. Green flag flies, and that's Mango diving into the pits nice and early. That's an interesting strategy.
I mean, if he wants to put on the dry tyres, be my guest. That's an interesting one. Maybe he just wants to get up into the lead for the first time. He's going to drop down now as Kareem from Lolly, from Ben from Gillen and Grid Jokes, your top 5. Back under green flag running already. Kareem with a decent march there on Lollen over behind, who's closer to Tim at Marduk. Well, he was closer to Tim at Marduk than he was to the Red Bull or the Aston Martin in front. But a little bit of a wobble there for Kareem through turn 2 of Farm, putting the Ferrari right back underneath his rear wing.
Only a little bit of a wobble, not much battling going on between 3rd and 6th at the moment. Alex Gillen just, wanting to pressure Team Marduk as much as he can, but not necessarily causing too much trouble. Austrian Andy gets the better of Joran van Heffen for 15th place further afield. and everybody just, again, finding their feet with the wet weather conditions, refinding their braking points. And that was that guy Vince being very brave on the brakes in towards Brooklands.
You know his pace in qualifying was strong. Can he convert it into race pace after that poor opening lap? Alex Gillen as well. How much translatable skills and speed will there be from the sprint into these conditions that are almost the exact equivalent as Cream almost getting Lauren over outside of a second there. Over the curb through Copse we go with Tim at Mile at the back of the car, looking a little bit unstable as you would imagine in these conditions over the curb. It's actually Gillen slightly under pressure here.
It is. It's a weird situation to see. Of course, Grid Jokes has found an almighty bit of pace under the wet weather conditions. Obviously, we spoke to Alex, or Scott spoke to Alex, a few moments ago when he won the sprint race, and he said that he's going to run his dry setup. So I wonder if that might be what's causing the issue here. Of course, when we go back to dry conditions, we are expecting this rain to stop at some point. He'll become that almost dominant force once again, but he's just got to manage the car under the wet weather.
What we do know about Cream 7T as well is in these conditions he is very strong. He's aggressive driving style. He likes to really try and hustle the car around. He's going to be strong, you'd imagine. Tukey tentative behind Brandon Miles, didn't fancy it down the inside into the Vale chicane. The door was left wide open by the Sauber, who's struggling for rotation and traction. Are we going to try it up the inside into the final corner? Little bit tentative there, really tricky traction. And got to avoid the mountainous sausage curve of the apex as well. Still eyeball to eyeball. Who backs down? Brandon Miles doesn't back down, but he almost falls off the circuit. He almost has a Haas slamming into the back of him as well.
Absolutely does. Jorma Haffen still trying to get the better of Brandon Miles down the inside. He looks at the opening corner of Farm, the first proper braking zone on this circuit, of course. He can't quite get the better of him at the moment. Brandon Miles holding on by the barest of margins. He's got Chappers for company. He's got Austrian Andy for company as well, down in 17th and 18th place respectively on the run down the Wellington straight towards Brooklands, towards Luffield corner, looking towards the inside as Chappers has the inside line in towards Brooklands corner, tries to get the car slowed down. Yorit looks for a switchback, but I don't think he necessarily had the opening force, but Chappers reopens the door through Luffield. Yorit tries to send the car down the inside. It's just about alongside through Woodker. Down the old pit straight they will run side by side. Who's going to be braver? On the brakes in towards Copse corner, side by side they run, proving that even in the wet you can do it. Both of the cars running wide. Chappers has to run off the circuit and just holds on to position.
Rain looks like he's got significantly heavier. Look at the glare on the circuit, the gloss and the spray coming up as well. Could we be getting closer to full wet weather tyres? We know they're not very popular, not just in real life, but on the game as well. But could be a viable strategy for drivers that are struggling. And it definitely looks significantly wetter now.
It's a bit of a washout, I think is probably the way to look at it at the moment. It's certainly heavy rain. If I don't know if Scott was with us at Silverstone this year, or no, last year, 2025, it was very much like this weather for parts of it.
It was indeed. Well, it was monsoonal for some parts of that, as Jorik van Geffen still getting stuck in with Chaps and Brandon Miles. I think the Haas is diving into the pit lane. Could this be for the blue-walled wet weather tyres?
We'll wait and see. Either that or damage repair, surely. Because I know out there as well, there's a photo of me in a very soaked McLaren hoodie. Because I stupidly forgot to bring a coat with me. I know Dan Gilligan's got it somewhere in his photo archive. Let's see what tyres going on. We are seeing the full wet tyres being applied.
Doesn't fancy the Inters. Obviously, it's a harder compound to drive in the full wet weather running, but with the wets being a softer compound, they can overheat slightly more, which is why they're not a very versatile tyre for drivers to use in conditions like these. Cream 17, by the way, absolutely flying out in front. If you remember back to a race at Monaco on F1 24, in the wet, he was seconds a lap quicker than his competitors behind. He's not quite at that level at the moment, but he looks very comfortable out in front.
Absolutely is. Dan's just put a threat in the Discord. In the Twitch chat, as we watch here with Brandon Miles getting the better of Chapper, trying to go side by side at the exit of Luffield and Brooklands on towards the old pit straight, still side by side. I think Chappers is loving going side by side with cars through the final section of corners on towards that old pit straight, gets the better of Miles. He didn't want to try and challenge it side by side through Copse corner, but once again, Chappers going wide at the exit of that corner. But just going back to what I was saying, Dan has just said, join the Discord for a soggy TK photo. That is a sentence that I never wanted to read.
Join in for other purposes as well. Find out about some updates, chat with other people in the community, in the fan zone as well, and some of the creators also. You can get involved.
Absolutely. And who knows, from time to time, sometimes the creators end up playing Fortnite in the VCs that everyone can access. So I can't say when, but sometimes it does happen. If you want to come join into the antics that happen in those late night sessions, come join us as we watch Ricciardo 3, how he's trying to defend from Fabio through the final corner, the Italian stallion holding firm in the Scuderia Ferrari.
Very good job. Got to be careful, though, because lurking and lingering is Adam Sanderson. Also, Razin Chai as Fabio wide through turn 1. Does that open the door as he's grappling for grip on his intermediate tyres? Adam Sanderson doesn't quite have the overlap, doesn't quite have the confidence under braking to steal 10th place away from Fabio, who's all over the place a little bit here. And suddenly, the confidence in the pendulum swaying the way of Sanderson, with Razin Chai also nipping at the heels of the trio in front as well.
Certainly are. There's good battles going all up and down this grid. Look at the back of that guy Vince. He's got Meraki for company, trying to attack Safso as well for P6. So everybody is kind of engrossed with their own little battles they've got going on. Just to keep you updated with how Yorit's progressing, of course, just came across the line to finish what will be their first lap on a full wet set of tyres. We'll wait for the proper lap where he's not stuck in the pits for half of the time. Watch with Adam Sanderson having to defend from Razin Chai as well. We know that Razin is very eager on the throttle today. He's proved that once already. In towards Copse Corner they run, and with the blinding nature of the spray that is providing, they'll make their way through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel Corner. Sanderson with a lifeline at the moment.
Done a good job to hold on to it then, because Razin, you would imagine, is going to be driving with a little bit of aggression, a little bit punchy as well to make up for the blunder and the mistake earlier on. Fabio, if you haven't seen, he broke his brake spring a few days ago. He was trying to use it as a trampoline, some might say.
I thought it was the throttle spring he broke.
Well, either or is not exactly ideal.
I would not recommend using sim racing pedals as a trampoline. We'll leave it at that.
No. They might be springy, but not entirely stable when you're doing like that. Even though you do have to put a lot of load on them, of course, especially when you're trying to slow down in these conditions, because the wet brakes are going to be just making life a little bit harder to slam those anchors on.
You've got to slam the anchor on, but you've got to be precise, because the last thing you want to do is lock up in these conditions, because aquaplaning and locking up do not add up well together. We watched that guy Vince getting the better of Safso, I think, who had a bit of a mishap under braking, little bit of contact between the two of them, and Safso just trying to turn in and defend the position as much as he possibly can. Does so rather successfully, and Vince will have to hold on to 7th for now.
Yeah, surprised that he didn't make that move stick there, Vince, because it was almost like the white flag had been thrown there from Safso with the Mercedes down the inside. But as we are, he's still the Season 1 champion, holding off the front row starter. That looked a little bit unstable, a little bit wide through Brooklands. He's got to be careful because the reigning champion is very much in the ballpark as well. Jake just struggling to make progress at this stage. Definitely got the pace to be fighting to finish inside the top 3. Bogged down in a little bit of traffic at this stage, though.
A little bit of a snap as well for Meraki as they came through Brooklands corner, and it was just an interesting one to see how they're handling the car through Copse as well. Everyone just washing out wide. They're hoping and praying for as much downforce as these cars will possibly provide them. But as it stands, they are hoping, well, their prayers are remaining unanswered.
And Razin once again applying the blowtorch to Sanderson, who's dropped outside of 1 second, 1.1 seconds off the back of Infratic, who, along with Riccio 3, has caught up to this little train forming behind the Season 1 champion. Gridjoke's in front of them 4 seconds further up the road, doing a really strong job once again. Very consistent lap times as they're just out of shot, you can see, into Stowe corner. That is Razin round the outside. Sanderson going to try and keep his foot in it to the inside of Stowe. He's on the high road into the Vale chicane, but braver under brakes is the Season 5 champion, and he does dislodge Adam Sanderson out of 11th place. And you can see the rain once again still getting heavier and heavier, but Jorik van Geffen's lap times not competitive at all.
Something I had noticed when we were on board with Adam Sanderson just down towards Vale Corner, the lack of battery that he's got in that Red Bull racing car. He was right on the minimums as he was trying to fight Razin. He's gained a little bit back now. It's that yellow bar just below the green, as you can see on the steering wheel, and he's regaining a little bit, but he was low. He was on like minimums when he was trying to fight Razin.
Shows how much battery he's using, because normally in these conditions, because you're not on the accelerator, the throttle for as much, you're braking for a little bit longer as well. You'll be recharging and harvesting energy and refilling that battery, I should say, just that little bit faster. So surprised that he's being so abusive with the charge that he's got. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. Or we can throw a blanket over them going through Luffield corner. Safso very much under the microscope, but Vince, he needs to try and get his skates on here, because you would expect either Jake or maybe the Ferrari and McLaren of Ricky and Infratic will try and blunder their way through this train, almost break the back of it to make some progress.
Certainly, I think there's lots of opportunities for drivers, lots of opportunities for things to go wrong here. Of course, we're still expecting this rain to go on for roughly 20-25 minutes in its entirety, so don't count out any drivers yet, because first, to get to the end, they've got to survive this wet weather period. Of course, when it gets back to dry conditions, then we'll see the likes of those drivers that are running the dry setups to come into their prime. We're seeing people in the chat talking about Lolly Noba, Alex Gillen, those drivers that are confirmed to be running that dry setup, and how much the balance, I think, necessarily will change as we get into those dry conditions later on.
maybe Cream has compromised slightly, going for that slightly wetter setup to give him some advantages in these conditions, because that gap now over 3 seconds. Fastest man out on the circuit at the moment, even though he's only a tenth quicker than Lolanoba on the previous lap. As Razin and Adam Sanderson now join this queue behind Saf, so you can see really struggling for grip, but Vince is balked there, and Maraki's going to say thank you very much to the inside of turn 2, the outside of turn 3, it'll be as Vince tries to fight it under braking, and it's J-Cat onto the water out on the outside. And he's now going to defend from the Ferrari, Ricky.
See, that dry line is really starting to form here at the moment as they make their way through the circuits all the way up. Towards Brooklands and Luffield Corner as well. It's all the way through that opening sector, just because of how many cars are going across the same section of tarmac, and they continue their way through. And even through here, you can see that bolder, darker line, and that's Infratic just swiping out slightly wide of it at the exit of Brooklands Corner. Daco Vince has scored 8 points in the race every week. Oh, has scored 8 points in the main race every week but one, where he scored 18 points. 8 must be his lucky number. That was a really difficult one to read.
8's not quite the magic number, though, because there's 7 drivers that have scored points in every single race. And can you guess who they are? It's an interesting one. One of them is slightly surprising. It's Adam Sanderson, who's one of them in this train. The other one that is interesting is Matt 212, who's obviously absent this week.
Yeah, I believe taking part in the 12 hours of Bathurst, if memory serves me correctly. I don't know why you'd want to give up driving Silverstone to drive Bathurst. Beats me.
Especially after the horrible accident that we saw at the weekend that was not particularly pleasant viewing.
No, and I think a lot of questions will be raised as a result of that. If you haven't watched it and you've got maybe a strong stomach at the moment, go watch it. Shows the safety of motorsport, if nothing else. Shows the safety of motorsport. Through the final corner then, Daco Vince trying to still get the better of Safso as we enter on towards lap 16 this train. All the way from Safso down to, I believe, Adam Sanderson. So we've got 6, make it 7 cars in this train at the moment, all wanting to get to the same place.
Wonder if Cream's advantage is maybe just cooled a little bit as well. On the previous lap, for the first time since the safety car came in, he was slower than Lolanoba to the tune of 0.2 per second. They were matching each other in the previous laps beforehand. So is it a case of maybe the other drivers have got a handle on these conditions, or is Cream just flatlining ever so slightly?
Clifford Corners just pipes up in our little commentary chat. He's gone, information for you, it's raining. Thanks, Alex. Had not noticed, I'll be honest, as we make our way through in towards the final pit, or the old pit straight.
Yeah, cheers, Jeff, for that one. That's a very, very insightful piece of information. I actually forgot my umbrella, and I didn't notice that I saw the rain falling from the skies as the drivers are bolted on those intermediates. Like he said a few moments ago, we're expecting the rain to stop in around about 20 minutes' time, so it should go dry come the end of our British Grand Prix, which means we should probably have a sprint to the flag, you would imagine, with everybody converging on each other.
That would be the expectation and maybe the hope as well, and we will hear from both Alex and Scott later on in the broadcast. We'll bring them in for their thoughts, comments, maybe some concerns as well. Who knows what is going to happen? Of course, we've only had one DNF so far throughout the course of this race. I expect maybe at least a couple more. Wet Silverstone normally does not leave 19 cars running on this grid. As Daco Vince now tries to get the better of Safso. We're starting to see the moves being made. Little tap between the two of them sends Safso at an acute angle towards the main track surface. Meraki sneaks on through, and that is a great move from our reigning champion.
Did really well there, not just to get the position, but not chip off part of his front wing, with Safso going slowly at the apex there. The battle, I don't think, is quite finished. Safso off the road again, flying around the outside goes Ricky. Fabio wide as well. I saw some McLaren bodywork just fly across, so I think he's picked up some front wing damage, and we have a virtual safety car for something that's gone on. Fabio with a 10-second penalty. That is going to be a bit of a kick in the solar plexus. It's now Vince from Meraki, from Ricky, Safso and Razin, who's ahead of Adam Sanderson and ahead of Fabio, who definitely had some contact around there somewhere.
Here we go then. Everyone has to reduce their speeds down to a set delta, and there is an opportunity, a new ruling in effect within the Create Series. I'm sure I'm allowed to share this. Gareth, tell me if we're not. Lovely, we are. If there is a virtual safety car and one of the drivers deems that they do not want to deal with a virtual safety car, they are allowed to stop on track. And there we go. Full safety car has been called out. You can see Bert Marlander's little icon at the exit of pit road, and exactly what we expected to happen. Drivers unhappy with the virtual safety car, so they've decided to upgrade it to a full.
Something that we should talk about as well is with the process of upgrading, when it goes from a virtual to a full course caution, does that still count as just 2 safety car periods, or is that now technically 3? Because that could be important if we use up all of our safety cars.
I believe it just counts as a singular, or it might count as 2. It counts twice for 2 different periods of the safety car. So we are, as you said, we've used over half the safety car periods allowable, which actually, I think in the grand scheme of things, we'll take a look at the big picture metaphorically. It's a good thing. It means less overall safety cars, and look at the games that were being played there by Karim and I believe Lottie Nova. They both pretended to drive into the pits. Alex Gillen did dive into the pits at the final time of asking. There was a lot of mind games going on there.
Yeah, Karim was parking the bus, backing it up into the far chicane, trying to see if anybody wanted to bite the bullet. Lolly staying out. Ben almost dropped it in his attempts to sell the dummy and stay out, but it is Gillen that does jump in for a brand new set of intermediate tyres. They're not that old, the drivers in front, 13 laps, but with the weather as it is, those rear tyres in particular will be a little bit worse for wear. Fascinating to see if Gillen can get himself ahead of the big train of cars. Safso's in, Fabio in, unsurprisingly as well. If Gillen does emerge in P5, he's going to be absolutely loving life. Unfortunately, I think he's going to be in the middle, if not at the back of that group.
It's heartbreaking there, yeah. He's going to come out of the back. Oh, massive snap as well on that Alpine. I wonder if he's just managed to pip out Samson, not by the look of it. But the question or the answer that he'll probably be looking for there is if they have to follow a delta for primarily their first lap. The second they cross that line, they're just given the instruction, catch safety car, essentially, is what they're given to the drivers. And that is where the opportunity for those 5 or 6 drivers to put their foot down and beat Gillen out the pits. If it was always a delta they had to stay to, I'm sure Gillen would have made it out ahead, but it was just that moment of relief that he would have liked to see. We're going to throw it over to Clipbook Corner, who once again has told us it's raining.
It certainly is. It's still raining cats and dogs over here, but we're going to ride on board with Razin here, and this is what is caused not Razin, Infratic. I got that completely wrong. Yeah, on board with Infratic here. This is what's caused the safety cars. We're going into turn 1 here. There's a big old clump of cars, and Safso obviously goes off in front, and then he comes back on a little bit aggressively, and as you can see by Infratic's face here, he's not overly happy and does get a 10-second penalty, which I think is very harsh because it wasn't him who caused the incident. He lost his front wing, and then the 10-second penalty came out, and then the VSC came out, which obviously is now a full safety car. But yeah, not good from Infratic, but I'm sure he'll recover now with that safety car up.
Well, fingers crossed that he does. Let us know in the live chat as well who you're supporting, who you're rooting for, who you think might have done an optimal strategy here this afternoon. We want to hear from you right about now. We're approaching half race distance, Tom. About 25%, 25 laps will be about halfway, 26 if you're being pedantic. Who's impressed you in the first half so far?
Kareem's looked really comfortable out in front, bulletproof one might say. I think Grid Jokes has been solid as a rock as well in P4. I'm interested to see the progress of Gillen as well on the brand new tyres. We can see, and we have seen in the past, that brand new intermediate tyres, there is a significant time delta you can gain. It'll just be a question of how quickly he can make his way through the traffic, and by the time he gets back up to the leaders, which I imagine he will do, how much tyre life in advantage and how much tyre delta will he still have over those guys?
I think that's going to be the question that we'll all see here, isn't it? How much benefit is Gillen going to see from those fresher intermediate tyres? Yes, he could probably go a little bit longer. He's not going to have to worry about getting into puncture territory, especially if we're going to see this rain for another maybe 10, 15 minutes or so. There's still the opportunity that drivers will be able to take them to the end, but who knows? I think it's still in the hands of the racing gods, so to speak.
100%. Looking at other people that came in, obviously Safso into the pits as well, now down in P16. He was really struggling, wasn't he? Really grappling for grip, and you can see absolutely bucketing it down as we go through Luffield. Nobody fancying the full wet tyre, as Yorick demonstrated. It is not a very good compound. He was still about 4 seconds off the pace while running what was, according to the game at least, the ideal compound.
Apparently, Aston Martin have been running the Honda engine in Scotty's car this season too, or at least that's what he's been trying to say. Maybe they put the proper upgrades in him for this weekend, because at the moment he's running P10, which is an absolutely fantastic run for Scotty. He's only lost 2 positions in the race so far over 19 laps. One thing I did want to bring your attention to just very quickly, you put Concept 7 in the chat, saying concept strategy was good. I'll tell you what, if there was a competition for hitting a barrier, you'd score a 10, sir.
Did a very good job. I would have given it a 10 as well. Finished with a flourish, and that's the best way that we can always put it down to. We had a really nice scramble into the pits as well, and we should have a scramble to find the grip under green flag running, because the safety car is going to be in this lap. But crucially, Yorick definitely ain't going to be catching up, and Fabio might be a bit touch and go as well for him.
Depends how much Karim wants to slow this pack down. Well, it's the question of whether Fabio's going to be able to catch up with this pack. You can see him barreling down that straight, down the hanger straight towards Stowe in the final few corners. Karim is taking this restart at a crawl and that is going to allow Fabio to rejoin the back of the pack and overtake Safso, which I'm not necessarily sure what's gone on the back there, but Safso has allowed Fabio past, maybe as a bit of a thank you in terms of this is really slow, isn't it, from Karim?
Yeah, 2026 Aston Martin POV for you there. I think there are rules in place that tell you can't go quite this slowly under safety car conditions, so there might be a reprimand coming for Kareem 70. There's a penalty for Tukey. That's the problem when you do go this slow. And I think Kareem might be getting a slap on the wrist with this one. You can see why he's doing it, trying to allow everybody to catch up, but it has caused a few issues in there.
I'd argue that he was trying to allow everyone to catch up if Yorick caught the pack, but he then launches at the end of the final corner, so he hasn't actually achieved that target at all. That almost certainly will be referred to the Creator Series management or stewards or whatever they want to call themselves. But Karim, for the time being, leads this race. Lolly Noba will stand in second. Team Mardik will almost be frustrated at that race up. They'll have wanted to get on with it at this point.
100%. And Yorick's not too far back either. He's still 2.5 seconds away. With the convergence on the opening lap, a green flag running, you'd expect he'll probably be in and around the right kind of ballpark. As Safso has dropped down to P18. He definitely got caught up in some of the skirmishes as we were waiting for Kareem to hit the loud pedal. Symbolic of, I think, Jenson Button back in China 2010 when he absolutely slammed the ankles on. We had cars going wide all over the place, diving to the inside. I believe that's Razin Chai trying to steal a march on Ricky 03. Does he pick the pocket of his former Ferrari car? Yes, he does. A little bit squirrely on exit for Ricky as well. He has to concede defeat on that occasion.
Tukey gets the better of Brandon Mars as well, further back, 13th and 14th respectively on the circuit. I've been pulling up the rulebook. I've got it out of the library here, Tom. I've got the information that we require. During safety car restarts, you must maintain an average speed no lower than 70 kilometers an hour, roughly 43 miles an hour, and you must avoid speeding up and slowing down. That is almost certainly going to be slower than 43 miles an hour.
Yeah, the pace was consistent. It was just very, very slow indeed, which is where the discrepancy lies and where I think he might be getting into a little bit of trouble. Not a great restart for Scotty there in P11, nearly 2 seconds off the back of the lead pack. Gillen yet to make any progress either, still tucked up underneath the rear wing of Adam Sanderson, looking to continue his streak of scoring at every single race so far this season.
Absolutely, some fantastic results so far, and we've always said here in the Great Series, consistency is key, and it's not necessarily about winning every single race or winning the race. It's always about scoring good points week in, week out, and that's quite possibly how all the champions have won their respective championships. It's not by just going out there and winning. It's about when you don't have the best races, scoring consistent points.
That is the template of Team Mardik and Marakis getting stuck in here. Chapper's trying to take 11th place off the hands of Scotty. Outside of 3 comes the inside of turn 4, and on the wetter part of the circuit, on the inside off the drying line, somehow Chapper's managed to find the traction and the grip. The Scotty there, lazy track limits going over the white lines through Aintree corner, so he loses 1 place and picks up a 3-second penalty. Might be another one as well to add insult to injury as Tukey shows the nose to the inside. A little bit bumpy there over the sausage curbs. He's going to have to deal with his papaya sparring partner.
Well, Fabio, of course, given the graces by Karim 70, allowed to catch back up to the pack at the moment as they run on towards the old pit straight. Fabio almost certainly be looking for the quickest line possible to get past not only his teammate, but Scotty Designs as well. Off goes wide Adam Sanderson. That could open up the invitation for Alex Gillen in towards Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel corner. The Alpine right on the rear gearbox of that Red Bull racing car. Gillen looks very confident in these wet conditions, albeit if he's running a dry setup, and he could try and pick the pocket of Adam Sanderson in front.
Problem is that he's wanting to try and use these tyres as early as he possibly can, use the best of them in these early stages, get back up to the leaders, and so far he hasn't been able to do it. We know the dirty air is a problem around this circuit, difficult to overtake in the wet as well. Good drive coming out of Stowe. Adam Sanderson hovering in the middle of the circuit, and Gillen, tentative, doesn't really think about it to the inside or the outside, happy once again to just sit and watch and wait behind the teammate of Tim Mardik.
Being told Karim's already trying to act defensive, and I think it will be a slam dunk penalty coming his way. There's no need for any further discussion on the topic at the moment, and Alex Gillen runs through towards Loop, or in towards the village and in towards Loop. It is interesting to see how they progress through. He's sat in P10 at the moment here, Tom. Of course, qualified up in 5th. Will be looking for that move past Sanderson as quick as he possibly can as the whole gaggle of cars make their way through this first sector.
Yeah, and the thing that he might be concerned about is when we do get back to dry running, which doesn't look too far away, definitely the rain has subsided to a certain point. If he's lower than P4, then effectively that's a net loss for himself, going for that pit stop under the safety car, hanging in the back of the car as he tries to crank on the steering wheel to give himself an opportunity, an overlap perhaps, get a foothold in this battle between himself and Sanderson. But again, just struggling for rear grip, that dry setup, maybe just coming to the fruition, but Sanderson's still able to hold on.
Absolutely right. Watching on the rear point of view from Sanderson's car, you can see further behind, Frasser gets the better of Tukey now manages to dispatch his teammate. He'll have Scotty Designs for company next time around as they head in towards Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel Corner. And Nick Fratic, of course, pitting, serving that 10-second penalty, and I believe getting that front wing replaced, which looks to be intact now for the Papaya McLaren on the run up towards Stowe Corner. Has the opportunity to try and dispatch Scotty at his earliest opportunity.
He saw as well, Gillen was very wide behind Adam Sanderson through Copse Corner, and that has meant that he can't really have a run at Adam into Stowe Corner as he did on the previous lap. So 1 step forward, 2 steps back at the moment for the former 2-time champion. Kareem's still leading the way, but he doesn't have the pace that he had before the safety car came out. Managed to get that gap over 3 seconds. Now Lodinoba sticking like glue to the back of the Aston Martin, with Tiamat Marnik clinging onto the coattails of the leading duo as well.
Certainly is. Lodinoba not letting Karim go as much as he wants to. He'll still have Tim Muddick for company, but you can see the gap back to 4th place, crossing over that 1.5 second margin at the moment as they continue to fight on. Fabio right on the rear of Scotty Designs at the moment. He hasn't been so confident in wet weather condition at the moment. We saw in qualifying when it goes dry, he seems to be a completely new Scotty. But under the wet conditions, we were talking about the very same with Ben earlier, that when they're uncomfortable, you can see they're uncomfortable.
Very defensive. Fabio going to be made to go the long way around. Can he get the cut back? He just spots an opportunity. The smallest of gaps. The inside going into the Brooklands corner. This time would have to be the outside of Luffield, but he's going to find himself run out of road there on the dirtier, wetter part of the circuit. But Scotty does a good job there, considering the circumstances, to keep Fabio at bay for the time being.
I think Fabio, though, will not be disheartened by this approach. They head in towards Copse Corner. Fabio, I say that as he gets it all kinds of wrong through Copse. The car just stepping out on him. I was going to say he's like a lion. Once he's got his eyes fixed on a target, he does not let that go. But the car not necessarily playing ball here this afternoon. Safso as well, further back, wanting to get the better of his teammate Tukey. Through the exit of Chapel Corner, the run up towards Stowe Corner becomes the main focus now for the McLaren.
Sanderson there getting some cool water onto his tyres. Fabio looks at it at the inside of Stowe, but still not brave enough. Under braking, but sliding out wide goes Scotty again. Can this time the McLaren force his way through? In the middle of the circuit is the Aston Martin, but this time Fabio can finally dive to the inside. But again, hanging around the outside goes Scotty in the green machine. Do we have a foothold in the battle into the final corner? A little bit sketchy to go side by side through here. Scotty falls out of the racetrack, and Fabio says, thank you very much. I'll finally get that overtake one and done.
Beautiful stuff from Fabio. Scotty Designs now has not 1 but 2. Papaya McLaren's for company. Little bit of contact there as Tukey just giving a love tap to the Aston Martin in front. Scotty goes deep in towards the braking zone in the first sector. He's not going to allow the car through though, because look at this. He's got Sapso for company, and I wonder if he's going to back Tukey up in towards Sapso at the moment. The run towards Brooklands and Luffield Corner will come towards their own. Brandon Miles gets a 3-second penalty for multiple track limit violations, and Tukey is not letting the Scotsman go. Just to keep an update on rain as well, we're expecting it to cease in the next 4 or 5 minutes.
They are going to be a mad dash back to try and strap on the slick tyres, dangling the nose, but waggling the tail is Tukey on the exit of Luffield Corner. Scotty Designs clearly still struggling in these conditions. Intermediate tyres are up. Maybe he needs oars or even some armbands to try and keep him on the straight and narrow. Wide in front, you can see there. That was Fabio pushing very hard. Big wobble and snap of oversteer for Sapso as well. It might be getting dry and the rain might be subsiding, but conditions still very, very treacherous and very slippery still.
Yeah, guys, we won't really start to see the benefits of dry running until that DRS gets enabled. The race control will send that notification across our screens and across all of the driver screens the moment they deem it safe enough to be able to get those rear wings open, which is something that we lose at the end of 2025, or lost at the end of 2025. But when that 26 DLC comes out, of course, drivers will be able to activate, hopefully, the XY axis movement that this Active Aero generation brings in with F1 26 DLC. We hope and pray for some more information on that DLC when it comes out, but I'm sure our drivers are ecstatic as we are up here in the commentary box.
Especially, like you said, if we get the inclusion of the upside-down rotating Ferrari rear wing, that'd be a fun one, wouldn't it? Alex Gillen's assault on Adam Sanderson definitely cooled in the past few laps. Hasn't quite got as close as he was previously, and maybe just seen the best of that brand new set of the intermediate tyres and hasn't used them to his advantage. Sanderson doing a sterling job to hold on to this 9th place, helping out his teammate as well. If you think about it, Ben up in P3. If he let Alex go, that's 1 car closer that Gillen can get to his main sparring partner. And he's really just held him in a cage here since the safety cars came out. Hasn't been able to use those intermediate tyres and really stalling with his progress.
Interesting to note as well, we saw a lot of drivers just dipping down the Wellington Straight. They were just trying to cool their tyres once again. It's being shown by Gillen there. And I wonder if this dry line, I wonder if the rain has stopped actually. I'm trying to keep an eye on all the drivers if we're able to watch on board, being told that Alex's rear tyres are at a solid 100 degrees, so they are overheating to the nth degree. Yeah, no rain visible on that cockpit at the moment. So the rain stopped. It's not necessarily a dry track at the moment, so that is why everyone is trying to get as much moisture on their tyres as possible to keep them in that key operating range.
This could be the opportunity. Going defensive again is Adam Sanderson. Gillen to go the long way round. Is he brave around the brakes? He hasn't got a lot of rear grip, but it's Sanderson that gets sideways over the curb and hands that one on a plate eventually to Alex Gillen, but maybe 7 or 8 laps too late as he finally gets up into ninth position, could chase after the Ferrari of Ricciardo 3 in front. Out in front though, I'm not sure if he saw it into Stowe corner. Lodonova was just over a tenth off the back of Cream as the other Aston Martin jumps into the pits.
So the first of the drivers entering into pit road then. Scotty Design, who we've said all weekend is a bit more comfortable when it comes to dry running conditions. Let's see what tyres he bolts on to that lean green race machine. Hard tyres, surely, to see this race out now. No more required pit stops, of course. They will have served that one mandatory stop that they needed to do. The likes of Mango Slayer and Jori van Heffen, of course, both into pit road as well. Hard tyres go on to Mango. What's it going to be on Jori after he has to wait for his teammate? Hard tyres as well. So 3 drivers opting for those white Ball Pirelli tyres. We see there Lottie Noba just struggling for traction at the exit of Brooklands Corner, through Woods, cutting on towards the old pit straight, towards Copse Corner. They will go. Now the tyres are in a completely different ballpark of where they want to stand. They'll be struggling for grip because they're going to be overheating and putting them through the fast right-hander. That is where we could see maybe a few mistakes.
They'll be feeling incredibly spongy and very spiky as well, these tyres. You'll be dancing on the knife edge of grip between understeer and then oversteer on the exit, trying to keep it pointing on the straight and narrow. But Cream definitely hasn't got the rhythm that he had earlier on in this race as Infratic disposes of Chappers there. Fabio pitting under the safety car, making his way through the field. Chappers with 20 laps on his intermediate tyres, but Cream's still able to hold on to the lead of this race. Alex Gillen, once he's got into clean air, he's managed to take a chunk of time out of Ricciardo 3, but diving into the pits go the 2 leaders. Tim Mardick, the Lone Ranger, staying out.
I think it's a smart decision. If you're going to try and do an overcut here, makes sense to do so. You'll hope and pray that no TRS becomes enabled at this point as he practically drifts through that final corner, but everybody else in towards pit road. It will surely be hard tyres to see this race out, unless we are going to see someone maybe opting for what would be effectively the 3 stop to see this race out. Obviously onto the mediums, off the mediums, onto the intermediates, off the intermediates, and then another pit stop after that as well. Mango Slayer picks up a 3-second penalty for multiple track limit violations. So how many drivers have we got staying out of pit road? It's a total of 7.
Well, Scotty's got half a front wing. I was going to say on those hard compound tyres might be a bit of an adventure to get them up to temperature and into the optimal operating window. And he's clearly had a chat with Barrier there and missing half of his front wing. Surely going to jump back into the pits to get that fixed. That is not good news for the driver that did, for the first time, qualify officially inside the top 10. But Ben staying out, interesting decision. I wonder if he's maybe just looked after his tyres a little bit better than Cream and Lolly in particular. He was very happy just to sit around 8 tenths per second off the back of the leading duo, maybe just to give himself an advantage, an opportunity at this stage of the stint.
I think you're right, and if he's managed to save some tyre wear, this extra lap when DRS is yet to be enabled could be somewhat of a saving grace. I don't know what the tyre difference, the lap difference is going to be in effect. We'll wait and see, obviously, when Ben does decide to pit, along with the remaining 6 drivers that have yet to dive into pit road. We'll surely expect to see him in this time around as Scotty Designs opts for the medium tyres. And obviously, we spoke about why a lot of drivers are opting for those hard tyres. They not only will last the distance, that's the main factor in all this, but of course, the hard tyres have a lower operating temperature that they need to reach to, so it's easier to actually get them up to temperature than most of the other tyres.
What also might be something to consider is that would have been a very busy pit lane. Adam Sanderson, it was looking so rosy, but with a 10-second penalty, that's a big, big handicap he's going to have to hold for the second half of this race. But it would have been a very busy pit lane if Ben came in. There was an opportunity perhaps maybe to gain a place over Cream and Lolly, but also lose places because Grid Jokes and Co. weren't that far behind. And he also will have this tyre offset. It might only be a lap, but with the lack of grip that the drivers are going to have at the moment, that could pay dividends. And still Kareem coming up towards turn 1 now. This could have worked out very nicely for the Australian ace.
And DRS enabled right as he exits out of the pit. He'll rejoin in the 3rd position, so has not lost as much as we probably were half expecting him to. So this is a great strategy call. Has lost exactly no places as Tim Mardick. DRS enabled. We're back to dry running here at Silverstone on lap 28 of 52. Everybody in hard tyres, bar one who's on mediums. That is going to be Scotty Designs. We'll watch Lottie Nova trying to challenge Karim 70, but as we reach half race distance, I think it's about time to throw it over to the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Scott Taylor. He's going to give us a little half race update. Scott, what do you got for us?
So welcome in everyone, we hope you're having a wonderful race. We're now at halfway distance. Looking surprising to see some of the drivers like Alex Gillen took a very dangerous attempt, as we see Lolly Nova also getting quite close again. But Alex Gillen got stuck behind Adam Sanderson. I feel like we need to give credit to Sanderson. He was able to keep Gillen back for a long time. Kareem's and Lolly's been looking dominant, but we can't forget about Tia McMurdoch. It has definitely been a good race for him, especially with Gillen down there. As much for drivers like that guy Vince was in the starting grid in second place. He has went down to fifth now, but he seems to be doing okay as well. Unlucky to hear about the driver like Scotty Designs. He's just not having one of those races that you want to see, but we do love to see him keep trying. His qualifying was absolutely brilliant. Vince as well seemed to just be settling into this little bit of a group of train here. That's what we're noticing with this race. I feel like it's Gareth. Yes, it does hurt to give credit to Sanderson. Yes, it does. But at the end of the day, when he's doing good, he's doing good. Unfortunate to see the 10-second penalty. That is typical Sandy. So, lap 29 out of 52. Every driver's basically went onto hards. They're going to be seeing this race out theoretically, but we all know what Career Series is like. You can get a random safety car. Kareem 70, we saw having a very, very slow race restart at the safety car. His argument will definitely be that he was trying to get all the other drivers to catch up with the back that we like, but there is rules at the same time. We'll see what happens with that. If you want to find out about updates that happen post-race, then you're going to have to either join the Discord to see results. You're going to have to go onto our social media throughout all the channels throughout the week, where you will see more information as things will happen after the race, just like in real life. So yes, if you've seen that button that says follow, subscribe, whatever it is, please get involved and let us know your thoughts throughout the week. Lolly Nova seems to be happy to stay behind Kareem at this moment. It's a race of strategy, right? They've both been at similar paces, so we're going to have to just see what the strategy plays out. Who can save their tyres the most, because he seems to just be about half a second behind. Ben seems to struggle as we have Scotty Designs has just retired, and we have a safety car. Tom Wilkinson, when you're back in a wee second, let us know how your thoughts about that, as we have a full-blown safety car. Lap 30. It's time for me to go back. TK, please.
I tell you what, I came back right at the perfect moment by the looks of things, as we have got a safety car. And as you were saying, Scotty Design's causing that one, unfortunately. He'd been having a good race, hadn't he? Right up until that moment, and sometimes the Great Wall comes falling down. I know Scotty has been looking forward to this race. He found some really true pace here this afternoon. Unfortunately, that is going to be the end of his campaign. Tom, what are your thoughts?
Difficult one. Looked like he was struggling. Already had a couple of adventures out there, especially on the hard compound tyres. If it was a deliberate safety car, not too surprised with how the race had unravelled in the 5 or so laps beforehand. If it wasn't, easy mistake to make. It looked like, though, it was right down the end of the Wellington Straight, so maybe that should say something to us. 4 out of 5 safety cars we've had now, though, and Adam Sanderson has been able to get rid of that 10-second penalty. He was actually quite lucky, because a lot of the big guns, I don't think, had the opportunity to come into the pits. Obviously, the trail of his, they wouldn't have wanted to come into the pits necessarily, because they've only been on their tyres for about 3 laps.
Tell you what, that cameraman's tracking of Adam Sanderson was impeccable, because even when he ran around the corner, he was able to pretty much pick out the red ball with the nth degree. But I tell you who we can go to in the next few moments, whilst everybody forms up under safety car. I believe Mr. Alex Heron has got something for us in Clipbook Corner. Alex, have you got something?
I've got a couple of clips in Clipbook Corner here, 2 that involve Mr. Adam Sanderson. And the first one is back in the wet conditions. This is when Alex Gillen was chasing him down. And I think Tom Wilson said he got caught on the curb. Well, I can correct you here, sir. It wasn't caught on the curb. It was actually by Mr. Alex Gillen, who comes across him a little bit aggressively. And Adam, I don't think, expects it. But he keeps it going in a straight line. And he was doing a very good race up until this moment right here. And this is the moment that, unfortunately, it all fell apart for Mr. Adam Sanderson. Coming into the pit lane here, he's just coming at way too much speed and slams the brakes on, and he was never slowing it down from there. And you can see his face of, he knows what he's done wrong there. And that, unfortunately, is going to cause a little bit of a problem for him later in this Grand Prix. But that's all the clips I've got for you. Scotty, unfortunately, I couldn't find him. I don't think he's streaming today, so I couldn't get his clip of crashing. But as I think Tom Wilson said, I imagine it was more of a on-purpose crash than it was anything else.
Yeah, unfortunate for Scotty there, and as you said, I don't think he streams just due to internet limitations, but the funny man himself, I'm sure, will make light heart of the situation when the meme recap drops at the end of this week, I believe. He does them every couple of weeks, which is absolutely fantastic to see. They are probably some of the funniest videos on the internet, so do go check out Mr. Scotty Designs. Everybody looks to be bunched up under safety car. No one opting for a late pit there to maybe swap onto the mediums. Not that it would give much benefit over the tyres they're on already at the moment. We are going to go racing. Probably about 21 laps to go here, Tom.
Yeah, and everybody pretty much now on a level playing field. You've got the advantage that Ben's got, that Jake's got, Ricky's got, and Chappers as well. Safso also in there with that 1 lap tyre advantage that they'll have, and it's difficult to say it's going to be significant. However, that first lap that the Kareem and Lolly and co were on their hard compact tyres, the conditions were worse. They were working a little bit hard to get their tyres up to temperature, so maybe there is just a little bit of a discrepancy there in the tyre wear, expected tyre wear, compared to what they actually have. And then you go back to the likes of Ben and Meraki, who are on slightly better tyres than maybe they were expecting.
You're absolutely right, and they are going to continue through, and hopefully the safety car restart this time around will be a little bit more prompt, shall we say. But all 18 drivers back up together. Race control have given us the notification that safety car will be in this lap, but Bertman pulls away. Crim 7T, as we saw with Oscar Piastri a couple of years ago, slamming on the anchors down the straight.
Needs to be careful he doesn't do that again. Surely somebody would have told him. You just need to be a little bit more careful here on the restart. With everybody bunched up, I doubt he's going to just park the bus as he did previously. It's going to be interesting. Twice so far that he's had to bolt it coming out of a safety car period. Twice he's got it right so far as well. Will he go 3 for 3?
Certainly will. Let's see then. Green flag will begin to fly. They run down towards Vale Corner, in towards Club as well. Crim 17 dropping the hammer by the look of it slightly early. I can't tell if he's gone or not because it doesn't look like full safety car speed, but he has. He's got up to speed. Lolly Nova just playing the cautious game. He's got Timo Mardik for company as they come through that final corner to start on to lap 32 of 52. 21 laps to go here in the Creator Series, and through turn 1 they'll go.
He wants to be punchy early on. Gridjoke's bad run through turn 1. Opportunity perhaps for Vince to maybe throw it to the inside and to get 4th place back off the hands of the Sauber. Remember, he qualified on the front row. He just about has a foothold in the battle. Sliding out wide is Gridjoke's perfectly executed cutback, and that should be P4, although still side by side through entry. Little bit too over the curb. On the inside goes Vince, as Ben ducking, weaving behind the Ferrari and Lodenober as well. Still side by side into Brooklands. This time, does he get the move done? Gridjoke's not going to go down without a fight. This time, he's got the inside now for Lovefield Corner, side by side for the whole first sector pretty much between this pair. Beautiful racing from both of them. Still eyeball to eyeball, but Vince with the run through would get out of Lovefield and does eventually get that P4.
And Gridjoke decided he didn't want the smoke there, didn't want to try and run side by side in towards Cop Corner. We see how wrong it has gone in years and seasons gone past, but look at the train that is starting to form up as they make their way through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel Corner. The gap already forming from Vince up towards Timo Mardik. The front three at the moment are in a league of their own with nearly 2 seconds deficit down to 4th place, and then everybody else all the way down to Brandon Miles is within 1 second. Razin Chai now sends it down the inside. They head towards Stowe Corner, down towards Vale. Round the outside he will go. Both Alpines now side by side. 2 former champions of the Creator Series going side by side in towards Vale. Through Club they go. It's Meraki who tries to look potentially for a switchback, but Gillen gets the better and will stand in 7th place for the time being.
For the time being, there's a look to the inside there into turn 1, but that was very, very well done by Alex Gillen there. Jake slightly wide through Stowe, still not over here. He has to go defensive into turn 3, the long way round for Jake. It'll turn to the inside of turn 4. Brilliant racing between the last 2 champions in the Creator Series. Reigning champion versus recently deposed champion. Gillen on the outside of entry has the better line and still has 7th in his grasp, but Meraki fighting very, very hard for this one. I don't think it's going to be the end of this battle. Late under brakes, but Gillen has it covered.
Announcing his comeback to the Creator Series like the French Revolution is Meraki at the moment as they head through Lovefield Corner, through Woodcote and on towards the old pit straight. Both Alpines are so close together, somewhat inseparable as it stands, with Joran Heffen in 16th, 2 keys, dropped all the way down to 18th. It looks like he's had a bit of a whoopsie at the exit of Lovefield Corner, and that is not going to be a little bit of heartbreak for himself. Sanderson gets the better of Mago. Fabio gets past Ricky as well for 9th place. That must have been a spectacular move on the entry into Maggots and Beckett's.
Yeah, picking the pocket of the Ferrari, doing a very good job. Safso right in the thick of that battle as well. Raz, we saw on the previous lap, getting ahead of Grid Jokes. If you consider where he was at the end of lap 3, penalty, front wing damage as well, having to pit, losing a whole host of time. He was down in P17. What a recovery this has been from the Season 5 champion. Still very much not out of the equation for a podium, especially if there's a late race safety car.
Yeah, we've used 4 out of the 5 possible, according to my calculations. So we are potentially within reach of having one more appearance of Bert Mylander before the end of this race. Of course, the intentional safety cars will be available for our driver's disposal up until the end of lap 42. Just for clarification, before any upset Razins get in the chat, this is the end of lap 42 on the individual driver's point of view, not from our point of view.
Kind of like a marketing campaign there for the unintentional safety cars right at the end. The two Haas cars side by side, getting stuck into each other. Through Aintree we go. Jorik van Heffen's had a few adventures so far this evening, battling away with Mango down into Brooklands. Running down the hill on the inside is Mango. Jorik made to go the long way around. Can we find the cutback? The answer is no. Tucked up underneath the rear wing of his team, but sliding slightly wide through left field. Second part of the complex, blundering to the inside. Bit of contact as well. Jorik can't get ahead of his teammate, having to stay behind for the time being.
Good fighting, though, side by side between the two Haas cars. I think there's a little sniff there from Jorik, potentially trying to stick a nose down the inside of Kopp's corner, but didn't want to try and go for a move that could end both his and his teammates' race over the course of this lap so far. We watch it with Lodi Nova once again trying to get in towards the slipstream of Karim 17. Razin Chai dispatches that guy Vince further back, so that promotes him to 4th place at the moment. There's lots of penalties up and down this grid as well. Lots of 3 seconds across this field. A few 6 seconds as well to both Tukey, who just gained an extra 3 seconds to his lap time, and of course Jorik van Heffen as well. We enter on towards lap 35. Just 18 more tours to go.
Let's not forget with Razin as well. He's got a championship to fight for. Winner in round 1, second in round 2, third in round 4. The only problem was that Hungary had an absolute stinker in qualifying and the race. Only P14 for a couple of points plus an intermediate pole time. So that handicap that he's got, that terrible race in Hungary, really holding him back. He should be leading the championship with the positions that he's had and the results he's had and the pace he's had.
Certainly, there's been a fantastic season so far, and still, I think within championship contention, should we see a resurgence in the latter stages of this championship. Meraki still clutching on to the coattails of Alex Gillen, who stands front. Of course, last week's race winner, well, last race's race winner. Of course, we had one break week for a little thing called Valentine's Day, but Meraki wants to try and capitalise on the drivers that haven't necessarily had last week's prep. They're using what would be the extremities of Kopp's corner, but cutting it a little bit too fine and running a little bit deep. As a result, he loses a couple of tenths on Lord Gillen in 7th place. Lolly Nova still in the rear of Karim 17 now, with the aiding of DRS down towards Stowe corner and through Vale. They'll look to try and run. Lolly Nova, I think, just happily playing the patient game here, as is Team Amardik. They're happy just to sit in that slipstream, sit with the DRS, not try and make any silly moves, because they know Razin Chai has still got an incredible deficit to try and overcome if he wants to try and battle for a podium as it stands at the moment.
Yeah, Lolly only moved a 10th closer there down the hang straight, which probably tells you the battery that he was deploying and how happy he was just to sit in the spectator role in 2nd place for the time being. Alarm bells will start to raise if Razin does get closer, say that gap drops below 2 seconds. The top 3, they do not want Razin to come and also bring everybody else along with them. Tukey speeding into the pits. I imagine that's probably going to be throwing in the towel, and is. We have our 3rd retiree, but it won't bring out our final safety car just yet.
Give him a penalty, retiring the pit lane. That is outlawed in the Creator Series here. I know it's only drivers that can report. I think that's appalling from Tukey there. Unfortunate to see him retiring the pit lane, so he will be taking no further part in this Grand Prix. If you're going to retire, just slam it into a wall. Why not? You've got to have a little bit of fun with it. But we've got just over 17 laps or so remaining of this circuit. Of course, we do continue on as normal. The front 3 still in a league of their own here this afternoon. We then have 4 all the way down to 11th place, intertwined within one another. All of them have DRS from one another, and then a little few more battles going on further back. Chappers on the back of Adam Sanderson, and of course Mango with Jorik van Heffen battling it out for 15th place. We've got 2 drivers of both Brandon Miles and Austrian Andy stuck in somewhat no man's land at the moment.
A little bit. You can see Gillen, though, close to the back of Grid Jokes, although pulling out of the slipstream, trying to keep the engine temperatures in particular down, getting out of that turbulent weight coming off the back of the Sauber, who's just trying to cling onto the coattails of the Merc in front under a little bit of pressure, hovering at around about 0.8 of a second off the back of Vince, I should say, with those two Alpines prowling and growling behind the man in position number 6. Gillen will be chomping at the bit to try and get through, knows that there's a potential podium on offer if he can try and find his way through, because his pace, remember, in the dry was very, very strong.
Certainly. And again, running that dry setup, something he stated right from the inception of that sprint race. So he was hoping for this dry weather to come. No more rain is expected to see this Grand Prix. But I'll tell you, Tom, I'll tell you one thing that this race needs: some more driver facts.
Does it indeed? What driver fact can be brought up onto our screens as Gillen had a look to the inside? Gridjoke's now very much on the cusp of falling outside of 1 second. There is the magic 1000 as he's just ducking and weaving, just dipping his toes in and out of the 1 second window. He needs to have a good run out at Luffield and through Copse Corner, but 1.03, 1.1 off the back of Ince. This could be curtains for Gridjoke's stranglehold on P6.
Certainly, and this is the way that we're starting to see this race unfold. Gridjoke, whatever he's doing, is doing an incredible defensive act. He's making that car with one spot of a yellow flag in the second sector. I think that's Joran van Heffen, who's got away just before Woodcote Corner, before they run on towards the old pit straight. So Will drop down to 17th place. Austrian Andy is promoted to one additional spot. Alex Gillen now has the run with a DRS and an elementary move there. He may not be Sherlock Holmes, he may not be Watson, but he is Gillen, and that was elementary.
Going to try and do a little bit of work though on his own here to get himself back inside the 1 second of Vince in front, to make sure that the group he's in don't get pushed even further away from A, Razin and Vince, and B, the leading trio out in front, who are very happy just to go about their business, doing what they like, and they are very much liking what they're doing. Get him with a good veil chicane, gets himself underneath the 1 second benchmark.
Certainly so, and in towards the first sector, all of our drivers are on. We're in the stage of the race now where they're thinking about longevity, thinking about getting to lap 52. They know it's no longer one in every single corner here. They have got to think about the race as a whole as the field continues to bunch up slightly more and more. The season 12 champion returns. Will have a point to prove as he returns as champion. I'm fairly sure he's season 11 champion, if memory serves me correctly.
If he picks up the season 12 championship from this position, missing the first 4 races, hats off, Jake. You are officially the greatest driver we have ever seen in the history of the EA Sports F1 Creator Series. And he does already have 1 point to his name so far, as he said, that 8th place in the sprint from last on the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what, this has lore behind it as well. Obviously, if anyone watched F1 testing in real life, we saw Lando Norris was allegedly announced as the 2026 F1 Drivers' World Champion. So I'm sure producer just keeping the lore going. Of course, Jake is season 11 champion. We've been told no more driver facts after making fun of it, though, which is incredibly disappointing.
We've exhausted the supply. That's the problem. We've littered them all off. We've gone through a litany of them. Well, apparently there's one more. We just need to wait for it to appear and see what happens. It's Razin Chai. Well, will Razin Chai be complaining there aren't too many safety cars or virtual safety cars in tonight's VC? Answers on a postcard too. Probably Gareth Allen will be the one that he'll be having the chin wag with.
I believe you can send them directly to Creator Series Complaints at Broadcasting House. Postcode is anyone, I don't know, 734. That is a real life postcode that definitely means nothing. Razin Chai, though, will be, I think, moaning about too many safety cars here this afternoon, especially if we see one more before race end. That still can come within the next 3 laps, or at least within the next 13. Should we see anybody unintentionally end themselves in a barrier, who knows what is going to happen. I wish I knew the future, but I do not.
Surely he'll be wanting a safety car, though. At this rate, 3/10 quicker than the leaders on the previous lap. Fastest man on circuit is Razin as things stand. 28.8. Cream and Lolly 29.1. He can just eke away at that, get himself inside the 1 second window, maybe in the next 10 laps or so. Give himself an opportunity to fight with the leaders on the last lap. But look at how they're converging coming out of Chapel Corner. Equidistant, Cream to Lolly to Ben. Are we going to see some trading blows?
This is what we're all waiting to see then. It comes down to the final few laps. There's a little hint of a move there from Timo Mardik, just wanting to break out the slipstream, get in the mirrors of the cars behind, or cars in front, should I say. Meraki gets the better of Gridjoke with a helping hand of DRS up towards Stowe Corner and down towards Vale once again for the 39th time over the course of this Grand Prix. A little bit late on the brakes though was Meraki, just managing to get the car slowed down as well. Tyres up on your screen, just a reminder of how everybody's looking. Mostly hard is this grid, with one driver is a little bit medium, then Joris is unfortunately soft. I mean, on the softs.
Yeah, slightly softer than everybody else. Very soft because it's one lap he's had on those tyres after a bit of a whoopsie coming out of Luffield and attached at the back of the pack. And like we said a few moments ago, quite a few adventures out there Jorit's had today, it has to be said. Razin just getting the gap down incrementally, almost dipping below 2 seconds as Vince just about keeping tabs on him, keeping that RB within inside the 1 second win so he can get dragged along, ideally up to the leading trio. But it's Jake that's actually lost 2.2 seconds to his teammate. He's got ahead of Grid Jokes, but he's now detached from the secondary trio that find themselves batting from 4 to 6.
Jorit, interestingly, has made 5 pit stops in this race. He's going for a Jensen Button in Canada 2011, just opting for as many pit stops as he can possibly pull out of his pit crew. But Team Modic still on the back of these front two. They're just letting each other battle. I think Team Modic knows this game. He's an old Sly Fox, is the native Australian. He knows how to play this game, both physically and metaphorically. He knows where he stands, and he just wants to try and keep within that 1 second. Jorit says the fastest lap of the race, though. 28 flat for the Dutchman. That obviously makes sense. Lowest that he's going to be on fuel all race and on a fresh set of soft tyres.
He's ticking off things from the checklist of Canada 2011. He's been in last a couple of times. He's had contact with his teammate. I think he has touched with a Ferrari at one point. He's got 5 out of the 6 stops, and he's got the fastest lap to his name. We all know what he still needs to accomplish.
Whether we'll see that is yet to be determined. Of course, if we see a safety car, this could make for a very interesting end to the race for Jorit if everyone dives into pit road and he decides to stay out, because of course he'd only have 2 extra laps on his set of tyres. All will be revealed in the next, well, 10, 11 or so laps of racing. But let us know in the live chat down below who you think is going to claim victory here at the Earl Grey of British motorsport. And it's going to be a thrilling race regardless of whether it's going to be Karim Lodinova, Timo Modic, or someone else entirely. Keep an eye on Razin Chai. I've said that a few times tonight, but of course he is still one of the fastest drivers on this circuit. Equalled the time of Karim 17, but made about 6/10 on Timo Modic last lap around.
Yeah, Ben seems to just be toing and froing, looking after his tyres, getting close and then backing off, making sure he's not taking too much out of the fronts in particular, just trapped in the dirty air of Karim and Lolly in front of him. It's going to give him an advantage down the straights, of course, but it's going to hinder him significantly going through Maggots, Beckett's Chapel, and, of course, Copse Corner. Lolly, that Ferrari looks a little bit lively. We've got a yellow flag. That is Jorit again, stopped coming out of the Vale chicane, now on the run-up into Club Corner. I think he's just done some grass trimming for us on the inside.
Oh, we're seeing Jorit get very loose, pointing backwards on the start-finish straight. And everybody's going to be coming through at full speed. We have yellow flags. Jorit is going to be parked right in the middle of the circuit. This is a bold place to be. Jorit cuts across onto the grass. Goes Karim 17. Lodinova has to follow them through. And oh my goodness, we very nearly saw carnage as Jorit tries to spin himself around right at the middle of the start-finish straight as the entire rest of the grid go flowing on past. That is going to be a heart-in-mouth moment for our leader of Karim 17.
Bit of a Code Brown moment there. Not a massive fan of it, to be honest. He gets a 10-second penalty for corner cutting very wide there through Aintree. I think that is Jorit who slammed it into the wall. And there is your 5th and final safety car of the evening. That'll bring Razin back into the game with everybody else behind. Jake also will get himself back there. But that was, yeah, that was interesting. Eyes on stalks, definitely for Karim there. He had to have his wits about him. Was on the grass, almost had his wheel ripped off, down to, well, not much that he could have done about it.
I want to watch that from Karim's point of view, because there is going to be... Oh, who's off in the background? Razin! Razin's gone off.
Oh, he's broken... No, he hasn't broken his front wing.
He's broken the brake marker board. What has happened there?
Was he just... Did he slam into the back of Ben? I mean, that's another clip that we could try and see what's happened. I mean, everything's gone to pot. We can't say the words to describe what we're actually thinking about it, but things have definitely hit the fan in the last 30 seconds or so, with Jorit doing some gymnastic work and some circus acts there down the main straight, almost scaring Karim within an inch of his life. And then Razin just doing some confetti there with the brake marker boards on the run into what I imagine would have been Copse.
I want to see Karim's face after seeing Jorit backwards, sideways across the start-finish straight, and then having to go onto the grass. Everyone's in the pits, is to be expected here. Soft tyres or medium tyres to see this race out with just under 9 or so laps to go. Meraki gets a 10-second penalty for tapping the rear of Pratik, and Grid Jokes also gets a 10-second penalty for touching the rear of Pratik. Razin Chai comes across team radio. I love styrophobia, so this could be interesting. I wonder if he's going for those bonus points that definitely don't exist. Fabio's opted for the wet tyres, everybody.
Did Fabio get a penalty? I know that we saw Jake. Did Fabio get one as well? I can't quite remember.
He has, yeah, he's got one. He's got 10 seconds.
So that'll be actually good thinking there from Fabio, to be fair. He's managed to switch the tyres on so he can come back into the pits and not use up a set of the Gold Dust tyres that he would want. Ben trying to get ahead of Loy there, saw an opportunity potentially to slide through. Leading duo on the softs, the group behind on the mediums, and then everybody else behind them on the softs, with the exception, of course, of Fabio, who will be back into the pits to get rid of those wet compound tyres. But you have to commend him the speed at which he managed to change his tyres.
This is hilarious because he is going to hold up everybody behind him. They're not going to be allowed to overtake him because we're under safety car conditions, but he's not going to be able to corner anywhere near to what the safety car's doing. I appreciate it's still going to be a rather slow-moving safety car. He is caught back up to the majority of the pack, but he could kind of back off and claim devil's advocate here to see how it goes. But enough of our talking. Alex is the man with all of the information that we so desire to do with this situation. We see what Gridjokes try to get past Fabio, which he will not be allowed to do. Alex, we'll throw it over to you here, chap.
Well, this is certainly a Code Brown moment. As you see, Kareem, I'm sure you can see on the map you're in the distance, but sometimes you're so locked into driving in an F1 car that you don't pay attention to what's going on around you. As you can see, you're right there, and that was the moment. But Kareem, very calm indeed. I've never seen him actually be more calm. He just gives a little shake of his head and moves on with it. I mean, he was trying to go back a little bit here. He was maybe a few inches away from losing his front tyre. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Europe was trying to do there, but good reactions from Kareem. But then, you want to see what happens to Raz and Shai. I'm guessing you won't guess what it is. But he's sort of driving there. He's talking to his chat or talking to dogs nearby, and he does this. And just lets go of his wheel and almost loses it completely there. And he gives a little bit of reaction to the camera. I don't know what he was doing, but there you go. That's what happens, ladies and gentlemen, if you let go of a force feedback wheel. But yeah, that's it for me. Get back to the racing.
Interesting to note here, and thank you, Alex, for all of that. Fabio's just got a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pits to serve his 10-second penalty. You cannot make this up.
No, can't write that. That's not ideal. Once again, we're going to strap on another U set of tyres, this time 16-lap old hard tyres. Kareem loving the styrophobia as well, as we are under the safety car. This will, of course, be the final safety car, because we have had all 5. Bit of contrast, because remember, Spa, we had no safety cars. I think we've only had 1 safety car race so far. It's been less than 1 a race on average so far this season, but now we've filled the entire quota. And Kareem as well, he is a very, very calm guy. I'm surprised that he wasn't wincing at all when he was going past Europe. Even though he saw the Haas try to get out of the way, I would definitely not have kept my call as he did there.
We've just had clarification from Alex. It was a 10-second for ignoring yellow flags, apparently, that has got in front of there. Ricky 03 still opting for that Angry Birds hat as well, which is interesting. I want to see this haircut, Ricky. If he comes in for an interview, I'm firstly making him take his hat off, which is the more interesting thing that we want to see. We've got a couple of people, well, one person in the chat saying you can overtake in the pit lane on the last lap. Only if it's raining and only if we're within about 3/10 of the car in front. There are very, very specific margins for that to happen, and we've all seen the clip. Trust me, I was there, I know. But there are very, very specific conditions in which you have to do it.
Yeah, we saw Fabio try it in the sprint, actually, right at the end. He dived into pits to try and get ahead of a couple of cars. Didn't work. He ended up losing time to the group in front of him, ended up a second off the back of P4. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yorick drops out of the session after giving us quite a lot of entertainment and maybe some changes of clothes required as well.
Certainly so, and everybody will get themselves lined up for probably one final run. I haven't seen any notification that safety car will be in this lap, which will be to Fabio's good graces. Bert Marlander just over there past pit road, and we'll go for at least one more tour here of the Silverstone circuit. Fabio still has a 10-second penalty which he needs to serve. The question is, if he serves it here, I don't think he's making it to the back of the pack.
They are pretty slow. That's the one thing I would say. We also know, you don't want to get a 3-second penalty for corner cutting as well. I mean, this could be a record for penalties. Please slow down, Fabio. We've all got our fingers crossed. I think he makes absolute certainty there that he doesn't get a speeding in pits penalty. And this should be the tyres that he straps on that will take him to the end of the race.
How many pit stops is this now for Fabio? Let's count them off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be his 6th pit stop of a race.
That's more than average as he sits there waiting with the Ferrari helmet in the McLaren car.
Nothing to see here. This is back when the days of Hamilton used to drive for McLaren, albeit when it was McLaren Mercedes and everything to do with that. But Fabio peels out the pit road, doing double the amount of pit stops of our top 4 at the moment. Sorry, our top 5 at the moment. We've all just had 3 pit stops to their name. So if he manages to get points from today, which, I mean, technically he's only got to gain 1 position to do so, I will still be impressed.
He's not necessarily the outright winner, though, of the most pit stops challenge, because Mango in 12th also has 6 pit stops to their name, and thankfully has changed from the vertical iPhone camera to the horizontal webcam, so we can see a bit better.
I've got number to 5 for Mango here. That's my count of pit stops for Mango. It's 6 for Fabio, 5 for Mango. He did 3 stints on a set of intermediates, though. That is impressive in itself.
Maybe I just can't count, or
Are you counting stints instead of pit stops?
Oh, that might be what it is. I might have made myself look stupid.
I think you might be counting stints rather than pit stops. Because you're right, Mango has done 6 different tyre stints, but that would equal 5 pit stops for the start on a set of the tyres. But, as our producer so lovingly says in our safety car is in this lap. Can we ride on board with Karim just to see what speed he's doing? I'm curious more than anything.
Slow, but he's not in first gear, so he is trying to let Fabio catch up. Watch for that 50 kilometers an hour, I think it is, Mark, or 50 miles an hour. I can't remember exactly what it is. Fabio should catch up to the back of the snake, though, and we will be able to go green flag running with everyone involved in this lead group.
Certainly will. Green flag flies from the race control box as Spurt Mylander well and truly back in towards pit road. It's now up to Karim 70 when he is going to launch towards the line as they run down, albeit much slower than usual, towards Vale and in towards Club Corner. The lean green racing machine will lead once again. Yet another restart, the final restart of this race. Pretty much everybody on soft tyres with a few exceptions of 3rd down to 6th place. And round the final corner, Karim 17 does have his foot to the floor and launches away.
Who you'd expect here, Ben, will come into his own maybe in the final few laps. Remember back to Saudi Arabia, right at the start of the season, Razin versus Lolly. Lolly was on the soft tyres at the end, Razin the mediums, and those soft tyres faded very quickly. Ben on the move, is he in the groove? He throws it to the inside. Carnage all over the place. Ben trying to take 2nd place off the hands of the Italian stallion. Down the inside into Aintree, who goes still eyeball to eyeball. Gillen up to P5. Safso making places too. Squeezed onto the grass is the championship leader.
Still managing to maintain at the moment. Tim Martix to the inside. Lonnie Nova runs him out of road. At the exit in towards Loughfield, in through Brooklands they will go. And round the final corner through Woods, getting on towards the old pit straight. Still side by side they will run. And surely this is going to be a bit of a recipe for disaster. Side by side they go. Razin Chai once again weaving side by side through Cobb's Corner. Oh, and Ben runs out wide. Lonnie Nova has to hold the inside line that time around. But again, they're still inseparable. Through Maggots, through Beckett's, through Chapel they will run. This time, though, Lonnie Nova has to give away the position to Tiamat Marduk.
How they're not upside down. Lolly had to catch a massive slide coming through Copse as Ben went wide in the dirty area, trying to hang it around the outside. They've afforded Karim the opportunity to scamper off into the distance, but Ben, you would say, on the better tyres. Wide again, though, this time through Stowe. Everybody all over the place.
Tiamat Marduk, of course, on medium tyres compared to the soft right in front and behind him, so he's got the longevity. He knows he can push these to a greater degree, and on your screens are all the tyres that everybody's running. DRS re-enabled then to take us to race end. 6 tours of Silverstone making their way forwards to the inside. Goes around Lonnie Nova trying to get the better of Razin. Try once again. Razin goes very late on the brakes, almost running into the rear of Tiamat Marduk, but they're side by side. Lonnie Nova swooping around the outside.
But he got his braking right into the loop. Didn't quite get it right there, or into finish. Didn't get it right into the loop. He was a little bit too committed down the inside with Razin there. Got bulked behind Ben, and that is what put Patey the opportunity to get himself back inside the top 3 for the first time since lap number 3, as Lolly with a bit of a slide coming out of Loughfield. Little bit too lively on the loud pedal, but Karim nearly 2 seconds up the road now from Ben.
This is going to be hurting Tiamat Marduk because he knows he wants to try and chase forward. He can't afford to wait for that tyre crossover. It's already probably starting to happen at the end of this lap, but as they continue to break away up front, Karim 17 knows he's got one firm hand on that trophy at the end of the day.
And Razin can't sleep easy either, because look who's behind him. Alex Gillen in P5, very close coming out of Chapel Curve. Tiamat Marduk under pressure. Lolly to the inside, thinking about it, just shows the nose. But as he's a little bit wide there through Stowe, having to sit behind the Australian ace once again for the time being. 4 former champions inside the top 5, the other one the championship leader. This is Creator Series at its best, everybody.
It certainly is a Creator Series classic at Silverstone. It's what the history books realistically were asking for. It's been so long since we've had a great fight like this on our hands. Team Monic still having to defend from Lolly Nova, who looks towards the inside as we head in towards Loop. This is a fantastic passing we've seen. Team Monic shows him the hand, allows him up into second place. Razin Chai well and truly hot on their heels as well as they run down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands, towards Luffield, and the slipstream in the toe has started to come into the Australians' favour. To the outside now goes Ben, looking to go around the outside of Brooklands. He tries, he doesn't quite have the grip on those tyres at the moment. He's got to wait for the soft tyres to be more of a disadvantage. But the exit of Luffield through Woodcote, they'll run on towards the old pit straight once again. Tim Marnick, the old sly fox that he is, he knows the opportunity will come to him.
Less than 5 to go. Could you work together with Lolly at this stage to try and get back towards Cream? Ben probably thinking, I don't think Lolly's got the pace to get back up to the Aston Martin. I'm going to have to do this all by my lonesome over the curb through Chapel, through Maggots, Beckett, and Chapel, but wide there through Chapel. He could be under the cosh here, all over the place, struggling in the wake and the dirty air. Razin arriving on the scene, Gillen arriving on the scene as well, but with the DRS that Ben's got, I don't think he's going to be under pressure. Will, for the time being, keep Razin in his back pocket.
Little bit wide from Team Marnix. They exit out of Stoke Corner into Vale. They go. Razin Chai now knows he could have a run on the Australian through Club Corner on towards lap 49 of 52. 4 tours to go of this great British circuit, and the top 4 pretty much inseparable at the moment, with Karim 17 still with a 2-second lead. But last time out, Karim was 0.3 slower than Lolly Nova. They are starting to make those inroads.
Aided by the DRS, of course, that Lolly would have had in sector 1. The other Ferrari moving backwards. Safso down the inside of the loop, turns to the outside. He's going to try and force it in there. A little bit of contact, a little bit of wheel locking. Safso on the curb and on the grass. Tony hawking it. Adam Sanders and Buffet driving there. Help yourself with Safso slightly compromised. This could be up to P7 potentially, and not too long for Sanderson. Just struggling. Look at the back of the Ferrari there in turning. Wasn't very nice, wasn't very recalcitrant as he tries to work it. Riccio 3 looking very unstable there, and that should be music to the ears of Adam Sanderson.
I think it traditionally would be, but they're both on the same lap old tyres now. Wonder if Adam Sanderson is leading fortunes in the rubber of Riccio 3 in front as they come through Cops Corner. It didn't look like he was at full throttle, especially not in gear 8 at all. So just take it a little bit easy, making sure that he gets that car to the end of the Grand Prix through Beckett's, through Chapel Curve as well, and on towards that hangar straight down towards Stoke Corner. DRS will open for Sanderson. He'll have the opportunity to drag slightly more towards the rear end of Riccio 3. You can see where he's confident, and that is well and truly under braking.
And Kareem should have this locked down as well. 0.3 quicker in the first sector, 0.4 quicker than Lolanoba in the middle sector. That gap extending out to 3 seconds, fastest lap of the race, making everybody behind look purple as he's nearly, in fact he is, over a second quicker.
Absolutely outstanding for Karim. He knows how to play the game. He's burnt as much battery as he can, and that is going to come to his benefit in droves towards the end of this Grand Prix. 3 tours remain, and the more the 3 behind him battle, again, it's only going to help him hand over fist. Lolly Nova still not allowing the Australian a hint of getting into second place. Razin Chai and Alex Gillen know where they stand at the moment, 4th and 5th respectively, and they'll want to try and get a podium out of this, but they have to be careful with how they do it. No late heroic moves is what is needed.
100%. But you are running out of laps, running out of time. Less than 3 to go. If Ben's going to try and get ahead of Lolly, can he chase down Cream 17? Doesn't look like the soft tyres are going to fade away like they did in Saudi Arabia right at the start of the season. That's going to be good news for Lolanoba and for Cream as well. But wide through Cops, maybe going to be a little bit vulnerable into Stowe if Ben can stay glued to the back of the Ferrari through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel.
Somehow, Lolly Nova still has 0 warnings to his name. I'll tell you who has 2 though, Razin Chai. Slightly further afield, he cannot afford to extend track limits any more than he already has. Team of and Gillen both have 1 to their name, but Lolly Nova in such an incredible position. He can maybe start to use these track limits warnings a little bit strategically if he's required to on the final 2 laps of this race. Once again, not making the required inroads on Karim 17. So unless we see a mistake by the Aston Martin, surely this has got to be his for the taking.
Been gift wrapped to him. All he has to do in the remaining 2 laps is open it, but that is easier said than done. But still, Tim applying the blowtorch to Lolanoba. I think Lolly definitely running slightly lower wings, so is Ben going to have to get creative, as we saw on the restart, trying to pile driver down the inside, plunder through, but he lights up the rear tyres, and suddenly from attack to defence, Razin right on his tail.
Certainly is. Now the run up towards Brooklands and Luffield corner. Razin Chai knows he can afford to try and make this move, but he can't afford to extend track limits, something we will reiterate over the next lap and a half, but he's practically on the gearbox behind McGillen. Look at this, coming out of absolutely nowhere, but pretty much clutching on the gearbox of Razin Chai further forwards, and this is going to be pressure from in front and behind from Chai.
A mighty scrap going on behind for P6. Vince, Ricky, Sanders and Safso, despite the penalty, battling very, very hard as well. Just behind that quartet, Austrian Andy with a 3-second penalty. This is getting lively late on, but as we said, running out of laps, just 1.5 to go. Cream comfortable out in front, still unsure who's going to finish second, but the dirty air seemingly hampering Tim Mollick, along with the straight line speed of the Ferrari.
With just over 1 lap to go then, as we said, the win pretty much wrapped up here. Karim 17 has just got to wait for his birthday to arrive, but the second place and third place finish are still to be decided. Razin goes wide, they exit through Stowe, Gillen towards the inside, into the heavy braking zone of Vale. Through Club Corner they go, both cars rubbing is racing through the exit of the final corner, and Razin Chai scrapping to stay in contention for 4th place, the inside, trying to hold itself as they head through Abbey, down towards Farm Curve. Gillen manages to get up to 4th place, but look at this, by doing so, they're sacrificing the podium.
Yeah, Gillen going to be vulnerable, but it was that mistake from Razin. Tried to force the issue, did Gillen. Did make it work, but he has lost the DRS to the group in front. Could he fall back behind the Season 5 champ? Ben running out of opportunities, ducking and weaving, jinking behind the Ferrari. Saw the smallest of gaps to the inside of Brooklands, but couldn't get a foothold. Razin still having it out with Gillen outside of Brooklands, inside of Luffield corner. Is the former 2-time champ going to get squeezed down on the exit? Does he have the space? Does he have the traction? Still side by side through Woodcote.
Still side by side down the old pit straight as well towards Cops Corner, the infamous Cops Corner. Razin has the inside line. Gillen deciding it is not worth it to try and hold on. We've been told Austrian Andy bolting on the full wet tyres to finish off this race. Tim Mollick towards the inside now, trying to challenge the Italian stallion, the softer tyres. Surely starting to not hold their own, but the fresher tyres, rather, Lonnie Nova, sorry, has the DRS. That could be absolutely critical as they run up towards Stowe Corner. Can the Australian sensation maybe try and pull off a miracle here? Both cars running wide through Stowe, but Karim 70, after a slow restart earlier, it was a fast finish for himself through the final corner to win it at Silverstone. Lonnie Nova will hold on to second place. Tim Mollick will take a very well-deserved third, and Riccio 3, trying to finish in the pit lane, will drop down to 7th.
That was an interesting finish, wasn't it? Tetchy between Razin and Gillen. Ben tried the audacious move into Maggots and Beckett's, but because he didn't feel like he could pass Lolland over in a straight fight down the straight, so you have to commend the opportunism. Didn't quite pull it off and in turn handed the DRS to the Ferrari down the hanger straight.
I think we need to have questions here. And can we just focus on Meraki for a second? He's finished with 53 seconds worth of penalties. What did this man do? Alex, I'm going to send you on a hunting mission if you don't mind, because I saw he at least got 20 seconds for corner cutting right to the end. Did he just straight line Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel to try and get ahead on track? That was my assumption.
Maybe. I'm trying to see. We can see this is where his AI car is. So he's clearly managed to slice off a decent chunk of the circuit, and the reigning champion will return with 1 point in the sprint and 1 point in the main race, totting up to, if you can do maths very well, 2 there. Got a little bit of front wing damage that he's picked up somewhere in there as well. But for the second time, it's a Karim 17 victory. Return to the podium after a slightly off day in Canada a couple of weeks ago. But with Lolly and Tim Mollick first and second in the championship, right behind him on the road, the top 2 still continuing on.
Absolutely, and this will be your podium celebrations this afternoon. Karim 70 takes to the top step for the Lean Green Racing Machines, joined by the Italian Stallion and the Australian sensation Lonnie Nova and Tim Mollick. After starting 3rd, 1st and 6th respectively, a fantastic drive from all of our drivers. Riccio 3, of course, finishing 7th after qualifying 13th, so a great drive from him today. And Chappers finishing 9th on the field after qualifying 15th, an almighty drive from the Williams driver.
Especially when you consider the second place in the sprint as well. What a load of points that is going to be for Williams in the constructors, crucially, and for his own championship push, battling to try and maybe get up to his teammate, fight for a spot inside the top 10. Semi-good for Aston Martin in the constructors as well. Obviously, Scotty Designs not seeing the checkered flag, but Karim 70 doing the dog work out front and doing a very, very good job. Race winner and fastest lap for himself. Driver of the day for Emphatic. Most overtakes for Mango Slayer. And clearly, nobody was clean at all. Everybody was dirty, as you like, because we don't have a cleanest driver.
You know what? I'll award one myself because the only driver without awarding, Adam Sanderson. Everybody else got at least one warning. So Adam, from us here, that is cleanest drivers. But as we run down, Karim, Nodinova, Timo, Marduk, we then have Razin, Chai, Gillen, that guy, Vince, Riccio 3, Sanderson, Chappers, and Fratic as your top 10. Safso, Grid Jokes, Brandon Miles, Magaser, Meraki, Austrian Andy, Jorit van Heffen, one of the first of the DNFs with Tukey, Scotty Designs, Concept 7 as your top 20. All those retires back to you in the studio.
Very nice, TK, to get that done in time. Well done, mate. Right, what banging race ends. Okay, that was great. I was a bit slow in the way. I was like, come on, let's go a little bit. But then once it got dried a little bit, everyone just came out. Now, what I need to say before we look at that clip from you, Alex, is just how amazing the top guys were at like pushing the limits, but not pushing it too hard. Actually phenomenal racing, right?
Yeah, it was fantastic racing. Obviously, as you said, the bit in the middle with the rain, it kind of slowed the whole race down. But towards the last couple of laps, it really started to go full throttle in the end. And yeah, that move from Ben to try and take second place in Maggers and Beckers was almost brilliant. Oh, sorry, you've caught me watching the 24 Hours of Mental Health stream. You should go check that out over on the 24 Hours of Mental Health stream channel. But anyway, going back to the clip from today's stream. So this is the last clip we have. Basically, TK wanted to know what Meraki did to get so many penalties. Well, I can tell you what he did. So you see that corner there? You think you'd normally go for that corner and brake zone. He decided to do this, which I think personally is a lot quicker of a line. And I don't know why more drivers don't do it. So he got himself into the top 10 on track. He did unfortunately gain himself 53 seconds worth of time penalties. But overall, I think it was a very good final corner for Meraki.
Love it. Well, there you go, Meraki doing Meraki things. I just love that. I got right into that in the end. Unfortunate for somewhat. I feel like Razin, you know, with a few less mistakes, would have been right up there as well. But TMMR, honestly, when he was going for that in the final couple of laps, I was convinced there was going to be one of them crashing out or some sort of chaos happening. But it's just amazing. You had those two, then you had Razin and Gillen. What I found personally with Razin, if you're ever racing Razin, you will always get the space, and we saw that as well with Gillen. Just so cool. I just love racing like that without it just some guy going off the corner like three corners in because they end up hitting, right?
Yeah, I think it was classic racing from those two. You know, not a bit of wheel banging, but probably on the limit of where it should be. And it did allow, you know, Karim to sort of drive off into the distance with all that battling behind. But I think that made up for the fact that we had two really good battles, and also the battle down in the midfield, which a lot of people didn't get to see. You know, the battles for 6th, 7th, 8th was very good indeed. So I think it was just a fantastic race overall. Classic Creator Series, we'd call it there.
Yeah, 100%. And Sandy got cleanest driver with not having a single warning. Fair play. Like, that man has done well. We're not giving him it, apparently.
That's what Gareth said.
I agree.
Blame Gareth.
But to be fair, love to see that. That's a difficult thing to do for a 100% race. All right, so we're going to go to interviews first. If I am correct, we have Mr. Ben Daly in. Oh, okay. Welcome in. Ben, how are we? Give us your thoughts. How was that?
Sweaty, very sweaty. Weirdly, I feel like my muscles are seizing up in my biceps. That was I was gripping the wheel really hard there for the last 10 laps. It was just really tough. Like, lots of dirty air, super low wings, the meta. We were all pretty identical on pace, me, Karim, and Lolly. But you know, it's just the nature of the track, the nature of these cars, and the nature of this game. You have to pull off something pretty spectacular to get through on other people.
But to us, that was banging. I'm just going to say, like, that race at the end, especially with you and Lolly and Oba, I was just saying to Alex before you came on, it's like you found the ultimate line of just how much you can push it, but not one of you's DNF or spin out in the track, right? So what cool scenes. Now, can I ask you a question? The medium tire decision at the end, did you think the softs would go quicker or what? What was your thoughts with that?
The medium tires are the best race tire, I think, in my opinion, especially for a short run like that. The softs tend to overheat a lot, and so keeping them in check is quite difficult. But we had a really slow restart, which assisted with like keeping them in the game for quite a few laps. Yeah. And then we had a long safety car as well. I think if we maybe went a lap longer, things might have been a bit different, but Fair play to Karim and especially to Lolly for actually like holding on with those tires because I thought they'd be goners.
Yeah, we did too, to be honest. We thought you had it, but they just never seemed to go. I guess you're right with the safety car. Well, look, all we can say is that was a banging end. The start middle was a bit slow for us, but definitely at the end there, you all absolutely nailed it. I actually love to see it. So you looking confident this season? What's your thoughts with taking it? You're very close to the front now. Is it starting to get a bit nervous now?
Taking what?
Like taking the whole season, like how?
Oh,
you're not far away. Like you're pretty much in the lead, kind of if or so with Lolly.
Yeah, I'm not too far away. I'm not thinking about it too much. I just want to win a race.
Yeah.
See, that's my goal. And then after that, we'll see where we are in the last few races. It's Creator Series. Lots of weird and wacky things can happen. So I'm just, literally just enjoying each race and trying to just think about that sole race in isolation of itself. But yeah, Zandvoort next week is again going to be another tricky one. So could be spicy.
I love it. Well done, mate. We love to see it. What a crack. And maybe not the result you wanted, but for us it was banging. So have a great week, and I'm sure we'll see you next week in the commentary booth after you've had another top 3 finish. So well done, mate.
I wish. We'll see. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. All right, we love to hear it as well. Okay, who we got in next? Let's go. Yes, every single time I have presented this show, every single time I have spoke to the same person because he's done so well. Lolly Noba, hello, welcome.
Ciao.
How are you?
All good, grazie. You?
I'm great. I just all the better for seeing you every single time. It feels like you're in the top 3. That was an incredible race end with Ben. Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, it was really an aggressive drive. I just know how to dance maybe with Tia. I don't want to stay behind, so I just try to push every time in every corner. So that's how I'm racing Tia today.
I love that. Are you happy with the second place, or do
No.
you think you could have got Karim?
I don't think I can get today Karim because in this track, not in other, obviously. The dirty area and the slipstream was really bad, only in Silverstone. And anyway, I think I can't get time today. Was impossible to overtake.
Fair play. Some days you're just not going to be able to get that. All we can say from our end, that was such a fun race end. Watching you two fight, and we also had Gillen and Razin behind as well. Lolly Noba, you know what it's like. Your fans are some of the most vocal fans in the world. We love to see them. If you get any words, they've been cheering your name in all of our streams this week. Is there anything you would like to say to them?
We need to win the championship. That's all.
Yes.
Ferrari back.
I have a good feeling. Lolly. All right, well, I'm sure we'll see you next week at Zandvoort in the top 3 again. You've been having an absolute stormer of a season. I love to see it. I love to see you so happy and doing so well. You take care of yourself, mate.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao. Ciao, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye. All right, I'm loving the vibes we're getting so far. Everyone just seems so happy. No dirty driving or anything like that. Who we got next into the... Oh, I love it. Okay, Mr. Karim, welcome. Seems to be you've had an up and down rate. There's been moments. It was quite fun for us. Let's talk about the race win first off. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. As much as it might seem that I was cruising in P1, it was tough. Because it's very hard to overtake here. But at the same time, it is possible. So I'm just pushing flat out every lap. In the rain,